Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
And today we're going to be talking about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Long in the works.
Yes. As it is a giant game, this has been on the to-do list for a while, but we're finally here.
Yep. So, jumping right in. America, 1899, the end of the Wild West era, has begun as lawmen hunt down the last remaining outlaw gangs. Those who will not surrender or succumb are killed. After a robbery goes badly wrong in the western town of Blackwater, Arthur Morgan and the Vanderlin Gang are forced to flee. With federal agents and the best bounty hunters in the nation massing on their heels, the gang must rob, steal, and fight their way across the rugged heartland of America in order to survive. As deepening internal divisions threaten to tear the gang apart, Arthur must make a choice between his own ideals and loyalty to the gang who raised him. So this was developed by Rockstar Studios. They've done all the Red Dead series games, so Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption 1. They've done GTA, so all of those, the 5 of those, and they've also done Max Payne, which I have not played.
I haven't played that either, but I heard it's pretty cool, actually. Cool. No, that's a good description. Rockstar, probably familiar with them, all of that. So, cool. Before we get into kind of the spoilers and our recap and all of that, we wanted to do a non-spoiler section to give you some kind of initial thoughts about the game. If maybe you were unsure if you wanted to play Red Dead 2, perhaps you were also intimidated by the size of it. We wanted to kind of give some thoughts that don't spoil the game, but maybe give you an idea of if it's for you or a little bit about what we think about it. So, first thing I'll say is pretty broad stuff, but I think this game looks amazing. It's really fun to play. There's a lot of great characters in it. It feels like the Wild West. Like, the things that Red Dead sets out to accomplish in all of those arenas, they very much so hit. It's great. It's super fun.
Yep, I agree. A lot of my non-spoiler thoughts are pretty quick hitters, but personally I loved this game. It's easily in my top 10, potentially top 5. I need to think about it more. But
wow.
It's really good. And two of the main reasons are the characters and development is really good, and then the story itself is maybe the best story I've ever played. It's up there with The Last of Us. I can't distinguish them at this point, but if you like story games, this is really good.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. One thing, we've alluded to it a couple times, but the game is really large, and an issue I have with this, and I think I have with Rockstar games in general, are I don't think that the games want you to be a gamer and that this is a game you like.
Yeah.
They want you to be a person who plays Red Dead Redemption. I don't think they care if you ever play other video games again.
Yeah.
Or a person who plays GTA 5 and you don't play anything else. And it kind of makes it, I think, intimidating in some manner, but also like just kind of a fucking lot. Like at the beginning of the game, especially before you unlock fast travel, there are some parts where you'll have like one mission on one side of the map and one on the other side.
It's a beefy map.
Yeah, and it's fucking huge.
And you're on your horse.
And you're on your horse, and you just actually ride for like, I don't know, 10 real minutes.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know if it's actually that long, but it feels like it. It might actually be.
It might be a long time. 5-10 minutes. Even 5 minutes is
it's a lot.
Hefty amount of time.
And, I mean, in fairness to them, they have a world that's very real, that's around that. You could run into weird shit to do along the way.
Yeah.
This game lets you do everything you could ever think of. Like, you can fish, you can cut your hair, you can eat food.
You can cook food.
Yeah. And
you can hunt and skin animals for food.
And you need to do some of those things, like, for your health or whatever. I like ignored eating food, so near the end, my Arthur was a little sick. He like got thin.
Could you tell, like, visibly?
A little bit, and I got a warning at one point. They were like, "Make him eat food," and I was like, "Fine."
Shut up! Stop.
Yeah, shut up. Yeah. Leave me alone. Like, I just want to play this game.
Killing bandits.
Yeah, I just want to kill bandits. So it gives you all those things. So that would be sort of a con, I think, for me. Is it's so much, but I would say, in fairness, there are lots of people who only want to play one game, and they're into that, versus I'm obviously the opposite of that. I'd play a lot of different games and kind of move on. So there is something to that, but a mindset I thought of early when I was playing is, what would childhood Dan think? Because growing up, I used to love watching like Western movies, like all about all of it. And I thought about that, and I was like, he would think this is the coolest fucking thing in the world. Like, you are actually living in the West. It feels like that. Anything can happen all of those things. And so once I got that mindset, maybe around end of chapter 1, early chapter 2,
Yeah.
that made me appreciate it being a giant monster a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I was like, all right, these things are cool. Some of these things, sure, I don't like as much, but I got fast travel pretty quick after that, and that took away some of the things I didn't like, but it just let me sort of appreciate all the things that are great about it, and thinking childhood Dan would really like this, and he'd think this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think if you would have presented me at 10 this game, I would have been like, I would play it all the time.
You wouldn't go to school.
Yeah. I'd probably have 300 hours on it or something crazy because I just keep playing. So this game's great. I don't want that con to sound like I don't like it, but I think all the greatness far overweighs that. Yeah. And I suspect if I played less games, maybe I would be more deeper invested in this as well. But my investment's still really high, and I don't know if it's a top 10 for me, but it's pretty close. It's flirting with it. But it's a great game.
Yeah, I have some other thoughts, I guess, as you were talking. It's about, I think, it's around like 45 hours to complete, probably, the story. Which, that's not a spoiler. Like, it's just be prepared to, if you want to play literally beginning of story, end of story, be prepared for 45 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I enjoy, I love games like this. This is a 100% RPG. I mean, it's a role-playing game. You don't have stats. I mean, you have like health, stamina, and Deadeye, the mechanic that helps you shoot. Those are your stats. But aside from that, you play the role of a cowboy. I mean, it's just what you do. Like you've already kind of alluded to, or whatever. So if you like that stuff, it's great. If you don't like cowboys, I don't know if you'll like it, but it's
probably not.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a really good game. So be prepared for that. It's a game if you like RPGs, like I said. This is like a Skyrim for me, kind of, with better graphics and a way better story.
Yeah,
better characters. So I could have played 150 hours probably. If we weren't doing it for the podcast, I would have taken a lot longer. But then maybe we would have gotten sidetracked. Whatever. It's a great game, but very big.
Yeah, no, that's true. I guess too that I feel like that's good for a note on there. Since we played it for the podcast, I did just do basically the main story. I might have did like one side quest early on, but really I didn't do a lot of them because I was like, I have a schedule I'm kind of trying to keep. Like I could fudge it a little bit, but I don't want to like be 2 months late or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfinished get from what I'm playing.
Crank this bad boy out.
Yeah, and like you said, playing the main story was still like 45 hours. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure it'd very easily be 75 just doing the side quest that I could see but chose not to do.
Yeah, that's not even just exploring and...
Yeah, or like finding side quest I didn't find.
Yeah. Like I think I decided... There was a few... So you meet characters along the way and you can do side quests for them that kind of expand the whole game. So I found a couple characters. I was like, I'm doing their side quests. I know they're not main story, but I'm going to... I care enough about them that I'm going to do them.
Yeah.
So they add a little bit of time for me, but might have been like 50 some hours to beat for me. Mid 50s. Yeah. That's great.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Cool. That's what I have. Do you have any other non-spoiler stuff?
Nope. No, I don't.
Cool. Okay, so from here on, spoilers are ahead, so drop off if you don't want them. And before we get into the recap, we had one question we wanted to discuss because, as we mentioned, this game has a ton of characters. I'm going to go through a list after we hear about some of people's thoughts, and I think I list like 20-some people, and there are still legitimately hundreds more, potentially. Like, there are a lot of characters in this game.
Yep.
So, that it's big. It's a full, I would say, lived-in world of sorts. So, okay. So, question, though, is who are your favorite characters? So, who are yours?
Arthur is... my favorite character by far, I guess. But then I also like Sadie a lot, and then I like Charles. I think those are my 3 favorites. But honestly, it's kind of hard because I could list probably all of them.
Oh, yeah.
All the main ones, at least. And I think at every point I had some meaningful interaction with all of them, and it was like, this character's kind of annoying, but they fit really well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Arthur and Sadie and Charles for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. My big 3 are similar. I went with Arthur and Sadie as well, and then my third was Lenny. There's an early mission where you go and get smashed with him.
Yeah, I figured that was...
and that's
a really fun mission.
It was super fun. And when you interact with him later, like, there were times at camp where he's like, hey, do you want to go do this? And I'm like, yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, because like some of the other people who are in the gang, if they were like, hey, do you want to do this thing? I'm like, fine. Like, I guess. But, you know, when Lenny or I like Charles too, but like when some of those, my favorite gang members wanted to do things, I'm like, cool, I want to spend time with you.
It's funny too, because Arthur even interacts with them differently. Like you can tell Arthur really likes Lenny by how he interacts with him. And then towards later in the story, he starts to be more affirming or like, whatever, encouraging. Yeah, but with some characters, he's like, fuck you, you worthless. All you do is ruin things. Like, he'll just kind of he'll just shit on people, which is kind of funny.
Oh, yeah. He'll totally be an asshole to people who think suck.
Yeah. They do suck a lot of the time.
Yeah, and a lot of times he's right, so. Awesome. We've got some listener feedback on this. First up, we got Nikki on Twitter who said, Sadie Adler, my beloved. Also Arthur, so yeah, same as us.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to get a lot of those too.
I agree.
The pre-order bonus on Twitter said Sadie Adler and Charles.
WTF Famicom on Twitter said the robot that kills Marco Dracic. Apparently there's a side quest. I looked into this because I didn't play it, but there's a part where there's this like scientist who's trying to create a robot, and you can do like side quests with him. And I guess on the last one you find the guy dead and the robot's gone.
Oh my god!
So I guess it like came alive and killed him.
That's a classic like sucker punch
or
Rockstar. I mean, like just throwing this random funny thing that you're like, oh, all right.
I know. I was like, that's amazing. I wish I would have played that and saw it.
Maybe I'll go back and play it.
But when I looked at it online, it was funny.
That's great.
I enjoyed it vicariously.
Hell yeah. Daniel on Twitter said probably almost all of them. Dutch and Arthur are top tier. Sadie is great. Mary, Charles, John, etc., etc. So there we go.
Yeah.
We got a lot there.
Yeah, similar vibe to what you were saying. I would list all of them if I could, sort of feel. Laura on Twitter said, Sadie is the best, Arthur, of course, then Charles and Lenny. The game made me cry too much, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to that.
A lot of feels.
Yep. Skirps on Twitter said, Lenny, Sadie, and Charles. Lenny was an underappreciated member of the gang. Charles, I felt, always the strongest and crucial ally to the protagonists. Sadie's transformation throughout the game was great. I agree. Yeah, she was... Well, we'll get there. But yeah, she was great.
Oh, I agree.
Good character development.
Cito on Twitter said Charles Smith and Sadie.
More Charles and Sadie. Morgan on Twitter said Dutch.
Then we've got Cubic Dice on Reddit said Sean. However, I can't get over the fact that they said he's from Donegal, but his accent is clearly from Dublin. Minor mistake to the masses, but annoying for one Irish fan.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
I didn't know that, but that would bother me.
Yeah, I'm just an ignorant white guy. I'm like, oh, he's Irish. I can tell because of the way he talks, you know?
Yeah, but if you're from Ireland, you're like, that's not how that sounds.
Yeah, I guess it'd be like, if someone from here, if I said I was from New York, if they didn't know my accent, they'd be like, oh, yeah, okay. But an American would be like, you're not from New York.
Right, yeah. They'd sell it out. They'd tell.
Yeah. Psychic Mind on Reddit said Charles, Sadie, and John. So, John. I like John.
Lord of the Withy Woods on Reddit said Sadie, Charlotte, Arthur, and Charles.
Nice. And then Thou Monkey on Reddit said Charles, Lenny, and Arthur.
So, a lot of favorites that we've covered. It seems like a lot of people like a lot of the same characters, which I think probably speaks to how good those characters are. That they're pretty universally... Everyone seems to like Sadie. Everyone seems to like Charles or Lenny or Arthur.
Yeah.
You know, like that's pretty good. Sometimes in games with a lot of cast, it's more divided. So
yeah,
I feel like that's notable here.
Yeah, and even the ones that like are quote unquote like less liked characters, there's a reason for that. So they're not just like, oh, there's a throwaway character. They're not liked because they're just kind of shitty, but they're made to be shitty, so they're made well. You know, it's just well done. Right,
yeah. As people mention, like, there are parts where you don't like Dutch, but he's clearly a good character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really good character.
Or other ones, too. But, okay. So, now, on to our characters. The ones I have listed are the Vanderlin Gang. I felt like these were the people that were most important because they're your main constants, you know. The way the game ends up going is there's, 6 towns that you end up stopping in for a while. Some of them have like a main villain or adversary, but really like the Vanderlin Gang is your home, and they're kind of with you throughout everything.
Yep.
So here they are. First up, Arthur Morgan. He's a playable character. He's one of Dutch's right-hand men.
He's like his main right-hand man. I think you pick this up throughout the story, but he like found Arthur when he was an orphan little kid, I think, and like raised him. So he's kind of like his son, but also his main gunslinger.
Yeah, I think kind of his top soldier of sorts.
Yeah,
it feels like. Then you've got Dutch Vanderlin, charismatic gang leader. He's really cultivated like this is a family type of feel for this gang, and I think seemingly been that way, for bringing Arthur in as an orphan. He even has some of like a Robin Hood feel when you meet him of, we're taking out the man, we're helping the little guy, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So this gang is, it's a gang. Like they rob shit and they kill people, but they're supposed to only rob like the rich people, and they're supposed to help people that need help. Stuff like that. So it's
kill people who are bad.
Yeah,
but not just like stick up a random farmer or something.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. So they're supposed to be like they're a gang for sure, and they kill people, but they're like a good one, Right. So Robin Hood's the best description, like you said.
Yeah, there's like some semblance of honor, or we're outlaws, but the world's crazy, not us, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the American system's broken. We're gonna fix it by stealing from the rich people.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, that's sort of the vibe. Then you've got Hosea Matthews. He's Dutch's best friend, and he's kind of co-leader of the gang.
Yeah, so he's like the brains, kind of.
Yeah.
Really good con man.
Yeah, that's sort of his thing of like, if Dutch is sort of the leader of the more aggressive crimes, I guess, Hosea would be maybe a leader on the more subtle side.
Yeah, and he'll like help Dutch plan things. He's real smart, real strategic, really smart older guy. Yeah. He's like the grandpa, if Dutch is like the dad, kind of.
Yeah, and they seem to be closest in age out of anyone. Like, they're both older. Yeah, Dutch is younger, but...
Yeah.
And their wives were both friends.
Yeah, it's hard to say how old they are.
Yeah, I guess I imagine that Dutch is probably like...
50s?
Yeah, I was going to say 40s or 50s, and Hosea is maybe like 10 years older.
Yeah, and then Arthur's probably 15 years younger than Dutch. 12.
Yeah, so maybe Arthur's like 30-ish, 35.
Yeah, mid to late 30s.
And then Dutch is like 45 to 50, and then Hosea is like 55, 60.
Yeah, 50 to 60.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
I bet we could look it up online and they'd tell you the exact age.
Yeah, I'm sure online they could have, here's their ID, what their birthday is. But I don't think it overly matters. The big thing being is that Dutch and Hosea are the oldest. Their wives were once friends, but their wives have both passed on. And so they've kind of gone all in on the gang because that's like the family they got, sort of thing. Next up, you've got John Marston. He's Gunslinger. We also know him from Red Dead 1 as the protagonist there. And he's a relatively newer member of the gang, or younger member of the gang, I think, when this starts. Because I think he was in the gang for a minute and then recently rejoined.
Well, I think he also got found by Dutch when he was little.
Okay.
But then he left for a few years.
Okay. And then has recently rejoined.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like... pretty sure that's the case.
Okay, that would make sense.
So yeah, Arthur gives him a hard time about it because he also has a significant other named Abigail, and then he has a kid named Jack.
Yep.
So Arthur's kind of like, dude, you fucking left your wife or your girlfriend or whatever and kid, and then just bounced for a while and came back.
Right, because they're also a part of the gang.
Yeah.
So they're kind of in this crew. Also, it shows you that this gang isn't simply gunslingers. There are other people who are part of it and have a role. You've also got Sadie Adler, who has gotten mentioned quite a few times. She's a housewife turned gunslinger. We'll meet her shortly at the beginning of the game to kind of hear more of her story.
Oh, and we have Abigail Roberts and Jack Marston. I just mentioned them, but they're John's longtime girlfriend and kid.
Yep.
So.
And then you've kind of got your veteran gunslingers, so to speak, who are Billy Williamson, Javier Escuela, Micah Bell, Charles Smith. These are kind of the people who have seemingly been with the gang for a while and seem to have proven themselves. I think they're kind of like, oh, you're a guy in the gang kind of thing.
And then Charles Smith is a Native American.
Yep.
And he's like really good at tracking. He's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great. Mm-hmm. And then you've got kind of another section of people who I would call upcoming gunslingers. These are kind of younger guys in the gang who do some crime stuff, but it's not the same as like, oh, we're sending Javier to do that.
Yeah.
Or Bill or Arthur or whatever. So you've got Lenny Summers, Sean McGuire, Kieran Duffy. These guys are kind of upcoming guys. They would want to be a real gunslinger like those other guys.
Yep.
And are like they can shoot and fight and stuff. They're just younger and aren't as established in the game.
Yeah, less experience.
Yeah. And then lastly, you've got this kind of wider crew of people who have different roles within the gang, who are Josiah Trelawney, Karen Jones, Leopold Strauss, Mary Beth Gaskell, Molly O'Shea, Orville Swanson, Simon Pearson, Susan Grimshaw, Tilly Jackson, and Uncle.
Uncle's great.
Yeah, God.
Fucking useless.
Yeah, Uncle's
He's
useless.
an old guy who's drunk all the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he's there to have fun and then gone when there's work to do. Like he's like a storybook adversary almost of like he's a member of the gang, but he's like he sucks.
Yeah, he's fun later on, but
yeah, he has like some moments that are fine, but among those people though, like you know, some of them like lead with making sure the camp's set up. Someone's the cook. Leopold Strauss has you collect debts. He's like a loan shark.
Yeah, he's also like a Swiss, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
From Europe, he's smart too. But yeah, he's definitely like he loans money and it gets a lot of interest back. They can't pay, then Arthur goes and collects it. Yeah,
yeah. And he what I would say would be sort of on your line of the business of if he'd be like a Hosea guy. That Hosea would be one who would theoretically task him if that's how that worked. Or Trelawney is similar to Hosea, where he just like smoke and mirrors and
he's a magician by trade, but then he has a bunch of weird scams that are funny.
Yeah, so this is sort of the picture of your gang. You've got on one hand rough tumble gunslingers, they'll just go shoot people, steal, do aggressive shit, and then another crew of the gang who do kind of the subtle stuff but also brings money in. And then other people who kind of take care of the camp to make sure that the gang can function. So, okay, you're the cook. You don't ever have to fight anyone, but you've got to make sure that the meals are ready or, whatever. So that's sort of your gang's big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as members of the gang, like, there's a community pot for money, and you put money into it, and it can let you upgrade your camp.
There's supplies, too. You can
supplies.
Upgrade and use.
Yeah, so there's all those kinds of things. So all in all, that's our characters in the gang. There are other people we'll meet along the way, but I think this has officially set us for being able to go through the story to actually dive into it itself. Also, actually, one last thing I will say is I'd asked a question on Twitter and stuff about people's like favorite chapter or favorite camp, but I didn't feel like there was really a great spot to put it. The way this game is really set up is each chapter you end up at a different side of the map where you spend the majority of your time. Most of your missions are in the other area. So when we get to certain locations, I might say a couple people said this was their favorite or whatever, but there's that. But okay, real recap, jumping in. Here's the game. Now really, especially if you don't want spoilers, go ahead and leave for sure.
Yeah.
So the game begins and the gang is on the move through snowy mountains, struggling, and it's clear it's after a botched robbery attempt in Blackwater that they tried to rob this bank. It went wrong.
It was like a boat. Robbed a boat.
Was it a boat?
Yeah.
Okay. It was like a casino boat?
I think it was just a boat that had a shit ton of money on it.
Okay.
And then, they tried to rob it, and there was a bunch of, like, federal agents on it they didn't know about. And it just apparently went fucking crazy.
Yeah, went really bad. A couple of other guys got killed, left in the street.
Three to five of them got killed.
Yeah.
They'll be mentioned throughout.
And are the guys in the gang trying to go through the snow, some of them are injured. Like, it's a bad scene.
Yeah.
And this blizzard's coming down. They don't have a place to stay, but they can't stop or get rest or go into a town. Like, they're super wanted.
Yeah.
So they're in pretty desperate space. And so Arthur and Dutch move on ahead on their own to try to find the guys they sent scouting, which were Micah and John. Dutch had sent them ahead earlier to go find us a place to make a camp. And so Arthur and Dutch go after them to try to find them. After a while, they do manage to find Micah, who's outside of a farm. They're hoping to seek refuge at the farm. Hey, could we stay here? Whatever. But while they're there, they realize that the farm's gotten taken over by a rival gang called the O'Driscolls.
The O'Driscoll boys.
Yeah. And the O'Driscolls are similar to a gang, I think, like Dutch's, but much larger.
And not as principled.
Yeah.
They're about just robbing and killing. Yeah, they're a lot larger, too.
Yeah, but you're right, though. They'll kill anyone. I don't think they have principles, particularly, even as evidenced by this, which is there's this farm. They were getting ready to walk up, and then they notice a dead dude. Like, the farmers are just dead, hidden under, like, some hay or something. And they're like, oh, we might have to have a shootout. And they do.
Yep.
Kill off the O'Driscoll boys. There was only like 4 or 5 of them there. It wasn't a lot. Mm-hmm. But you kill them off. And you start looking around the farm, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know if we can stay here, but maybe there's some things we can take back to camp at least. Like, because as they've been going through the Snowy Mountains, they don't have provisions. They weren't planning on their robbery going wrong. Mm-hmm. So as they're looking around, though, they end up finding a woman that was hiding, who is Sadie. Mm-hmm. This was her home. And while you're trying to talk to her, the house accidentally burns down. Like, a lantern falls and just catches up. And you invite her to come back with you. You find out that the O'Driscolls came here, and I don't think they attacked her, but she hid. Or did they attack her?
They might have.
I don't remember.
I think they did. Well, she has like a scar on her face.
Oh.
I think they did attack her.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they kill her husband.
Yeah, they killed her husband. I guess they did attack her. You're probably right.
Yeah, because she hates them.
Yeah.
I mean, killing her husband's enough to hate someone, but then I think on top of that, they did bad things.
Yeah. That's a good point. The first chapter I played like 6 months ago.
Yeah, I played a while ago too, but I just recently beat it, so she talks about them a lot. So yeah, okay.
So this part's a little less fresh. I played almost all of the game in like the last month, but the first chapter I started like 6 months ago.
Fair.
So that part feels a little fuzzier. But ultimately, she joins the gang and comes back, and we're like, we'll take care of you until you want to go. Like, this kind of thing shouldn't happen to you. I'm sorry. Essentially. Mm-hmm. The farm's burned down, so you can't stay there. Also, I don't think they'd want to after what's gone on there.
Yep.
So you come back to camp, you try to figure some stuff out. Arthur and Javier go to try to find John because he still hasn't shown up. Mm-hmm. And they find that he's been attacked by wolves. This is where he gets his scar on his face.
Yeah, if you've played the first game, you know his stereotypical, like, it's like 2 or 3 slashes from his like eye to his beard.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, scar origin story.
Yep.
But you save John, you bring him back to the camp. And then, kind of the last big thing that happens in this early part is Dutch and the gang find an O'Driscoll camp and attack them, and they steal some plans they made to try to rob a train. Then we use their plans for robbing the train and do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And we end up robbing a guy named Leviticus Cornwall, who's sort of like, I don't know.
Big wig money guy.
Yeah.
We've never heard of him, though, at this point in the game. But everyone else is like, you're robbing Leviticus Cornwall? Like, do you know whose train this is? Like,
right.
Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it seems like if you were robbing, like, Andrew Carnegie or something like that.
Like
you're robbing this guy? Sort of thing. He could crush you.
He's got resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever.
Yeah, and I think Dutch's attitude is, well, he's not going to miss it then. Sort of thing, and you're like, well, maybe, but...
Yeah, he's a rich, greedy guy, so he will.
Yeah, you might not want that heat, but get sort of introduced there. Also, I guess a thing for O'Driscolls, too. There's, like, a long-standing rivalry within the gang. The leader of the O'Driscoll gang...
Colm.
Yeah, him and Dutch have, like, bad blood for a long time.
I think you find out now, or maybe a little bit later, like, Colm killed Dutch's wife, and Dutch killed Colm's brother as, like, retaliation. So, yeah, they already hate each other, but then there's, like, they've hurt each other really bad, so there's, like, extra beef.
Right, it's not just, they were bad and we killed them at Sadie Adler's farm. Instead, it's much bigger and longer than that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's sort of our first section. Then we make it to, like, our first town or area, so to speak.
First camp.
Yeah, first camp, which is called Horseshoe Overlook. 2 people mentioned this was their favorite camp, so that's cool. At this location, it's outside of a town, but it's kind of in the woods. So we're trying to stay out a bit. We don't want to be inside of a big city or near a big one necessarily, but kind of close enough. Yeah,
because, I mean, the gang's, like we read, it's fucking huge. There's, like, 20, 25 people. So you wouldn't really just fit into a town and no one ask questions, you know? At this point, they're wanted because they robbed federal boat.
Right, yeah. So they have a lot of heat on them. And so, yeah, they find a place basically in the woods, like a little bit away from the road.
Yeah,
that's
up in this overlook, like the name suggests.
Yeah, and probably, too, I imagine it's hard to sneak up on them. And you see this in this camp that they have, like, guards posted, that kind of thing. So, like, and it does seem like they even have the vibe of, like, if we have to get up and go, we'll be able to, like, pack up and leave.
Yeah,
like,
they got a bunch of wagons and tents and stuff.
Yeah, they seem pretty mobile. Like,
yeah.
They're used to this kind of life. Maybe not being on the run in the same way. The gang is trying to lay low. The nearby town's called Valentine. They go there for supplies, kind of investigate what's going on. You also get introduced kind of to several of your mechanics, I guess?
Yep.
That you can do, which are things like going on a bounty, or going hunting, or cattle rustling, or collecting loans for Strauss. There are these various side activities that I think you have to do all of them once as part of a story, but really, by and large, you could never do them again.
And I think the first times they're part of the main story, right? So like collecting bounties, you go to a spot on the map, hog tie some guy, bring him back, get money. Fishing, you go fishing to catch fish and make money or eat them. Wrestling cattle is same idea. Steal cattle and sell them for money.
Yep.
And debt collecting is as it sounds.
Yep. Yeah. Go somewhere that Strauss wants you to go
and then beat some guy up.
Beat someone up and take their things.
And then beat him up more if he doesn't pay you more. Yeah. I hated doing that. I felt so bad for the people.
Yeah, I really wished I could have been merciful.
Yeah, there's the one time you have to do this. 2 times. You go to some farm that's with some guy who's sick and you like can't pay you. Like, I don't want to beat you up. But you have to beat him up.
Right.
And then you steal from some foreigner. Like, I don't want to do that either.
Right, yeah. You're
felt
like,
really bad.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I'm going to take this thing in your house. And you're like,
yeah,
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And that when you're doing those especially, it really taints some of that Robin Hood view that you sort of want to have of the gang, or that Dutch will espouse. But you're like, this seems like we're just, especially the loan sharking, it's like you're taking advantage of people who are down on their luck, and that sort of sucks. Like, it's not like you're grifting bad guys. You're just grifting people.
Regular people.
Yeah.
And there's a few times, like, Arthur kind of like doesn't want to do it, but Strauss keeps saying, like, well, they knew the stakes when they took this money. Like, sure, but I don't know. It didn't feel right. But early on in the game, you're like, all right, I'm in the gang. I'm going to do this.
Right.
But later on, you're like, I'm not doing this.
Yep.
I didn't do any more of these.
Yeah, neither did I. I think the only one I would have probably done a lot more of if I played more of the game is doing bounties.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Because they're fun. Yeah.
And each person's unique, too, that you go collect.
Right.
So you get like a funny dialogue with them after you catch them.
Right, yeah. They try to convince you to not or talk shit.
You like put them on your horse, you have the chance, they'll talk, and you can like punch them in the face. And as you're riding, I did that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. Just punch them. That was really fun.
Yeah. So there's a lot of options there of what the game can bring, and you can choose to do a lot of those things in any following chapter. And each location has its own stuff, too. So some of those have their own variants of what that could be. Like, in this one, a hunting thing they introduce you to is, like, there's some mountain lion or something.
Yeah. Like legendary animals you can hunt and kill for some reward or something.
Right. And so each like, location, I think, has their own legendary animals that could be, big kills to hunt or whatever.
Yeah.
So, it sets up a lot of the mechanics of how the game works. The next kind of main story thing that happens is you end up going fishing with Jack because Abigail asked you to. While you're fishing, the Pinkertons show up and talk to you about turning in Dutch.
The Pinkertons are kind of like the U.S. Marshal type thing. Mm-hmm. Like, they can kind of go where they want and have no jurisdiction. But they maybe work for the federal government, I think.
I think that they are
private?
They're private because Leviticus Cornwall hires them.
Oh, yeah.
So
true.
That's how they come in, but they feel like they have government level authority in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like if a Pinkertons came and shot your town up, I don't think it would be like, well, we'll call the army. Like I think the army would be like, that's fine, they're Pinkertons. Like it seems like they have pretty high level of authority.
Yeah, they're almost like sanctioned by the government, but they're not.
Right.
The government, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, it's sort of government for hire almost sort of feel.
It's like that, what was that? Back in there was like that contracted service, or like the army would hire sometimes. And they would like go over to like Afghanistan, and like they were like armed like crazy, and they would kind of be military.
I feel
but
like
not.
that was called Blackwater, maybe.
Yeah, it might.
That sounds...
No. Oh, yeah. I was thinking Treadstone, but that's from The Bourne Identity. Yeah, it's like Blackwater. It's like
yeah.
They're like given the extension of the law, but they're like hired... But
privately.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the picture, I guess.
Yeah. Basically, they have a lot of authority and can really wreck your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I think they would really follow and they, like, it says go. Like, what they say goes sort of deal.
They're like police times 2.
Right.
Because there's no, like, local government. I mean, there is, but, like, each town has its own sheriff. Then there's the army, but they're never really involved in that kind of stuff. Then you have the Pinkertons. They're kind of, like, spread over everything.
Right. And basically, if someone wants you caught, the Pinkertons can go after you. They also might just hire regular bounty hunters. Like, you could... They could make your life very, very hard.
And they do in this game a lot.
And they do. Yeah, quite a lot.
Starting here.
Yeah, starting here, they try to get you to turn in Dutch. They're like, you're here. Let's just wrap this up. You turn him in, and
you can
Arthur's
go free.
Yeah, you can go free, but Arthur's super loyal, and he's like, "Fuck off! I don't know Dutch."
Yeah, he's like, "I don't know. I'm not Arthur."
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, which I do think it would be, if you had a low profile, it would probably be easier to be anonymous in this world. Like,
oh yeah, you could do whatever you want.
Like especially
no one would know, unless there's a witness.
Right, and if you only did, I don't know, like. I guess this becomes the theme of the game, but like one big score. Yeah. But if you did do one big score, and then you just moved like one state over, no one would probably ever find you if you weren't acting wild. Like
if they hadn't robbed Leviticus Cornwall at this point, they'd probably be more okay. Because they're, like you said, they're hired by him. Mm-hmm. So kind of like, I mean, there'd still be heat on them, but maybe not this direct.
Right.
They robbed the wrong guy.
Yeah, they really did. Also, during this time, Micah gets arrested in a town that's maybe like 2 towns over or something. That's a little farther away.
Yeah, it's Strawberry, I think.
And Arthur gets forced to go rescue him.
Yeah.
Dutch is like, you have to get him. And he's like, why?
No, Arthur hates Micah.
Yeah, Arthur hates Micah because Micah's impulsive and kind of makes things worse. Like, I think he's sort of a shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy.
Kind of like a real gang member. Like, he's kind of in the wrong gang. He's more of like I'm going to kill and pillage.
Yeah.
And this gang's not really about that, but...
He would be more like an O'Driscoll. Like, he would fit in more there.
Yep.
I agree.
And you see why soon.
Yeah, you see why. Arthur goes to rescue him, and then Micah's like, okay, thanks for rescuing me. I gotta go get...
his guns from a house.
My guns from this house. And you're like, what? And he just kills everyone in the town.
And Arthur is forced to help.
Yeah, and Arthur
he's already there. He's not trying to get killed.
Yeah, and he just broke him out of jail. So
Arthur,
Arthur and Micah end up what feels like killing like every person who can have a gun in the town.
I mean, you probably kill like 50 to 80 people.
Yeah.
Throughout the game, you probably kill 1,000 people.
Yeah, probably.
So it's kind of like, they're... Steal from the rich, give to the poor, but they also kill 1,000 people along the way, if not more than that.
Also destroy the West,
yeah.
But, yeah, Micah shoots up the town. And so it's, again, sort of a, like, God damn it, Micah. Mm-hmm. I think also here, if I'm remembering right, Micah doesn't come back to the gang with you after you help him because he's like, well, I made a big mess for Dutch, and so I don't want to come back without... like
some money or something
to offer to show like I'm worth having in the gang, essentially. And so you're like, all right, fine. So you head back to your camp and you're like, all right, fucking Micah. Also, you get a letter. Arthur gets a letter from Mary, who is his old girlfriend, who seemingly rode with the gang for a while, but then didn't want to be a part of the life anymore and has kind of moved on.
Yeah, and they were like real close. And I think her dad also had a lot to do with that. He's like, get out of that. And she eventually sees Arthur's not going to stop doing this, so she just bounces. Right.
And I think it's sort of that, like, I don't want to be part of the gang, but I know that you won't ever, like you said, won't ever leave.
Yeah.
It's part of you, so I have to leave you also because I can't be a part of this.
Yeah, and throughout the game, there's more chances to do side quests with her. Mm-hmm. So it kind of becomes this, like, what if things had been different for both of them throughout the rest of the game.
Yep. the main thing that happens for her from this letter is she asks you to rescue her brother, who's like a high schooler who joins this like weird cult.
I forget what it's called.
I don't remember either.
But they like worship a turtle. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's goofy.
Mm-hmm.
You end up rescuing him and getting him back to her, and she's happy and grateful.
Mm-hmm.
The next like heist, you finally get like another bigger heist.
Yeah.
Here come up, which is I think John's idea, and he says we could rob a train, but what if we just put an oil cart on the track? It will see it and it will have to stop, and then we'll be able to rob it.
You're smart.
Yeah, smart. And so you end up in kind of I would say a Grand Theft Auto style, where to complete a mission you have to do things. So like in Grand Theft Auto, you have to go steal a getaway car, you have to hide it under a bridge, like that kind of shit. You have to do the same thing, except I would say this is a little more fun.
Yeah.
And there aren't a lot of missions that follow that same model again, whereas in like GTA,
it's a lot of them.
They all feel kind of that. Not all feel that way, but there are a lot that are that way. This one is the only one that felt this way.
Had a lot of setup to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you like steal the oil cart, you like get some horses, different shit like that you have to do to finally like set it up. And so Arthur, John, Charles, and Sean rob the train by putting the oil cart on the track. Because the train can't hit it because it'll explode it.
Yeah.
So then you're able to rob it that way. Sean also kind of weasels his way into being in this robbery.
Yeah.
Because he's young and eager, and he's like, oh, I want to be a cool robber like you, Arthur. And you're like, no, you can't come. And then the robbery happens, and he's there, and you're like, God damn it, you're here, fine.
Yeah. Throughout, at one point, he's like running ahead and gets like knocked out and almost killed, so you have to save him. Then you obviously hold that over his head for a while.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, you're like, I told you weren't ready, kind of thing. After the oil cart, Dutch sends you and Charles to go find a new camp. You're like, all right, I think we've been here long enough. We don't want to stay too long.
And the Pinkertons are really close too. Like they found Arthur at the river, like minutes from the camp.
Right. Yeah. Where he talked to us with Jack. Where they talked to us with Jack wasn't that far.
Yeah. Nope.
And so Arthur and Charles go to find there's like this dried up creek bed that they think could be the next hideout. They get there, and there's this German family there that's hiding under their wagons, clearly not doing well. They're distressed. And you end up finding out from the little girl who knows some English that their dad was kidnapped. So you end up going to rescue him. You're like, we still do good things, right, Charles? And you and Charles, I think, are kind of in the same vein there.
Yeah.
Of, helping people. He wanted to do that. You're like, yeah, we should do that. So you go there, you find the people who kidnapped him, kill them, and rescue him. He ends up giving you like a gold bar for this, because they're like gold
Yeah, they're
traders.
like, they have a gold mine. I think their family has a gold mine.
Which was big, but also the place that you rescued him from was a better camp than the one you were going to do, so you set up there instead. And this camp, I believe, is near Clemens Point, or is called Clemens Point.
Yep. That becomes the new camp.
Yeah, the new spot.
Which looks a lot like the old one. You're just more south.
Yep.
Louisiana-ish type feel. And then it's kind of muggy and hot, apparently.
Yep. That's your vibe exactly. And so, again, they kind of run through their similar vibe of, cool, we'll go into town, we'll kind of scope things out and, go from there. And on the way into town, Dutch, Arthur, and Hosea meet Sheriff Gray, who actually has Trelawney as a prisoner in his wagon. And you're like, oh, that's Trelawney, we got to get him out. Dutch goes into his, charismatic, talking to them, making friendly. The sheriff's like, oh, this guy's cool, that sort of vibe. Meanwhile, the prisoners that are in there escape, which I think we helped them escape, right? Or did we just let it happen?
One of them is escaping, or, picking the lock as we're talking to them, and we're like, all right. Trelawney gets up, too.
We just let it happen.
Yeah, but then... Yeah, then you help them track him down and
right. So okay, you notice that the prisoners are gonna escape. You just let it happen. Trelawney stays, but the prisoners who are part of some other gang escape, and they're like, "Oh shit, the prisoners are escaping." And Dutch is like, "Well, Arthur's real good at tracking people down. Do you want him to get them?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, just don't kill him." And you're like, "Okay,
God damn it,
I could do that."
Yeah.
As a player, though, I was like, God damn it, yeah.
I'd rather just kill them.
Yeah, it's much easier.
Yep.
Doing bounties where you're not supposed to heal people are hard because I'm like, I just want to kill them.
Lassoing them is not bad, though. Once you lasso them, that's game over. You can't use your lasso in this one, I don't think.
Yeah, I think
you have
you're
to beat him up.
Yeah, because you're chasing them on the train.
Yeah.
You end up chasing them down. They're really impressed, and they're ultimately like, "Oh, actually, you guys would be great deputies here.
Yeah.
Here's your badge."
You're like, all right, cool.
So then you and Dutch get deputized.
Yeah. And Bill, I think.
And Bill, get deputized by them. So cool. You have a spot. You also have a part where Arthur and Sadie go into town. You get some more character building with them.
Mm-hmm. Sadie wants to be a gunslinger now.
Sadie wants to be a gunslinger. She's being forced kind of into being the cook's assistant, which she doesn't like and doesn't respect him.
Yeah.
And so to kind of blow off some steam, you get sent to take her to town to buy some goods. You're doing that, and then you get a new kind of random antagonist called the Lemoyne Raiders, who are essentially guys who were Confederate soldiers, but the war ended, but the war didn't end for them, so to speak. And so they just try to like attack randos. But you and Sadie kill them, and you see very much so that she's quite the gunslinger.
Yep.
And you're like, yeah, I'll vouch for you. You should be one of us. Like, you obviously are good at this.
Yep.
And Sadie's talked a lot about how before this, it wasn't like she was just a housewife or something like that. Her and her husband shared everything. Mm-hmm. You know, they both did the farming, they both did the shooting, they both did the... And that's why she's good at all of these things. Is she's been doing it for a long time.
As practice.
Yeah. Has already been doing it. But you have this new random agent of chaos, though, the Lemoyne Raiders. The big thing that happens here, this town I think is called Rhodes also, by the way. But the big thing you find out about Rhodes is there are two large rival families called the Greys and the Braithwaites. And they have long-standing, like, feud, Hatfields-McCoys kind of thing.
Yep. Like old plantation families, like, had a bunch of slaves. Now that's done. So now they're, like, not rich, but they're not poor either. They're, like, just hate each other.
Yeah, they both think that the other one's evil, basically. And they're like, oh, that sounds like something the Greys would do. Like, that's sort of the vibe that they both give towards each other. But you get kind of roped into this as you work for the Greys, who are the police department. But also you get roped in because Beau Gray is one of the sons, and Penelope Braithwaite, one of the daughters of the main family. And they have a Romeo and Juliet style love. And so for a little while, Arthur gets stuck kind of being their courier.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah, I did as little of those as I could. In kind of learning about these families, the gang thinks they might be able to play both sides of the rivalry, take all the money, and leave.
Yeah, because, there's, I guess you have this down here, there's, like, rumors that one side has gold or both sides have, like, old Confederate gold buried somewhere. So you're trying to, like, figure out where that is and steal it. Right.
So you kind of each have different people who are trying to be involved with each thing. So, like, I think Dutch is Gray's. That's his responsibility. Mm-hmm. Jose is trying to get in with the Braithwaites. And you're trying to, if you can dig enough in there, maybe you can find out where the money is. We can rob them and get out of here. Mm-hmm. And, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of your next one big score. If we rob these families, we can get out of this, and we won't have to be a gang anymore. Doing robberies, we'll get loaded, and we'll be done.
Yeah, and Arthur throughout the whole time is kind of like, this seems dumb. What are we doing? This is like a bad plan. But everyone else is like, oh, let's go for it.
Yeah, Arthur thinks that it's unwise to get that involved in things.
Yeah, and this is kind of his first time that we see, at least, where he's kind of like, I don't know about this. Seems like a dumb plan.
Yep. There's a point where Arthur and Lenny go find the Lemoyne Raiders and steal their guns. So that's something they kind of realize is, okay, we want to rob banks, we want to do more, but we need some firepower. And so there's a hideout for the Lemoyne Raiders. It's like an old ranch house where they've got a big shipment of guns. So you and Lenny go there and kill all of them and take their guns.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, like boxes and like a wagon full of guns.
Yeah.
And Arthur takes it and it's like, oh, cool, I have an upgraded rifle. Like, which is great. So that's a thing that happens. Arthur, Bill, Lenny, and Karen go rob a bank in Valentine. So, okay, we're not at the town we were last time. Let's go back. We could steal them. This is your first time robbing a bank.
You get a lot of money, too.
You get a lot of money, and you crack safes, because that's something Arthur's good at, I guess. Mm-hmm. The act of robbing is kind of annoying, because you, like, pick up each piece of money.
So slow. Yeah, it takes, like, 2 minutes to, like, crack the safe, which is probably realistic. Yeah, then scooping the money out. you like pick up each piece of money by hand and slowly put it in the bag.
It feels
as
like
you're yelling like, "Come on, we gotta go," and you're like, "Okay."
Arthur, stop picking them up $1 at a time.
Just scoop them into the bag.
Yeah, scoop.
Yeah.
Who cares if some fall on the ground? Like, you'll get most of it.
Yeah, this is. I think we had talked about this like last week, just on our own. Like, this is one of the times where like it's so realistic, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Because the game, like, usually the game would be like, "Oh, you just took all the money.
Press
like,
X, the box is empty."
But this one is like, okay, hold triangle to rob the safe, and you're like, this stack of money in the bag. This stack of money in the bag. Oh, there's more stacks? These stack. It's just like, all right, we get it. It's real.
Right, yeah. I wish that you just scooped it. Let's see. Also, you shut down and steal moonshine from the Braithwaites with the Greys as deputies.
Yeah.
This is a thing you do. And then the Greys end up just taking like half of it for themselves.
And then you get the other half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shitty.
Yeah. No, I think you get actually most of it. Because the deputy's like, all right, I'm going to take this. And Dutch is like, you're taking the moonshine? The guy's like, oh, well, we kind of do this. Dutch has some like kind of like cheesy lines, and the guy's like, all right, yeah, you guys can have it, because he feels kind of like, I don't want to take this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But
so then you get all the moonshine.
You get all the moonshine, or most of it. And then Hosea tries to sell it back to the Braithwaites.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not buying it, but we will pay you to use it to go burn the Grey's crops.
Yeah, all their tobacco.
All their tobacco field. So then you go there, you pour the moonshine all over the fields and burn them all.
Yep.
And as you can see, right, by the chaos we're already in, this is what these families' relationships are like. Mm-hmm. And I think that the gang is allowing them to engage in their worst behaviors, like just amplifying
and get worse. Yep.
Yeah. Then you go back the other way and steal horses from the Braithwaites for the Greys. It's bad. You're just making things worse.
Yep.
Again. Meanwhile, the O'Driscolls want to meet up with Dutch to have a treaty. To make a treaty, we've been rivals for so long. Let's finally bury the hatchet. Dutch, Arthur, and Micah go. Dutch and Micah are going to be up close. Arthur's going to be kind of watching as a sniper.
Yep.
But Arthur gets captured by the O'Driscolls. They just use this to try to take one of them out.
Yeah, I think you find out that Colm's whole plan here was like to capture Arthur specifically, because then he could get all of the Dutch gang to come and try to rescue him, and at the same time call the Pinkertons, and they would just arrest all of them at once. Mm-hmm. That was kind of his goal, which is like really fucked up, but kind of smart.
Yeah. Arthur is pretty fucked up, but he's able to escape here out of this, so that was intense. So after this, up to this point, we've played both sides of this family rivalry. We've caused some problems. But Arthur, Micah, Bill, and Sean go to town for a job. Okay, we're going to go be deputies now.
Yeah.
And while they're there, they get ambushed by the Greys, and Sean is killed at the start of the ambush. They're just walking down the street, and he gets shot in the face.
Right in the face, right in the eye or something.
Yeah, he goes down. We shoot our way out and kill the rest of the Greys, but a member of the gang is killed.
First time
as we're playing.
Yeah.
I thought this was cool because this showed, and gets continued to be shown after this, that the gang's not invulnerable.
Yeah, people will die.
People will die. Being in this gang doesn't mean you have like plot armor or something like that. Like, the gang members can and will die. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was great. Like, when that happened, I was like, okay, this game is good.
Especially pretty early on. I mean, chapter 2? I think. Maybe beginning of chapter 3?
Yeah.
Or mid-chapter 3.
Really early on. And so then that made me feel, okay, almost everyone's vulnerable here. There are a few people who are in Red Dead 1, so I know they won't die. But
everyone else is on the table.
Everyone else is on the table. So the vulnerability felt very large in a really good way because of that. I like that quite a lot. After this kind of fiasco, the gang comes home and they realize that Jack has been kidnapped. And they think that Catherine Braithwaite did it.
Because they saw, like, some of her men or something, like, leaving the camp.
Yeah, so they go track down the Braithwaite manor. They get there to get Jack back, and they just kill
This was
everyone.
great. Yeah, because she's terrible. They're all terrible, but she's
bad.
She's just mean old lady who's, like, thinks she's better than everyone else.
Yeah, she's bad.
Yeah, so this part was, great. So you kill, like, everyone in her family. You burn her mansion she's lived in that's been in the family for hundreds of years, and then you like drag her out, and she's like freaking out. It's fucking great.
Yeah,
and you don't kill her. You let her live.
Yeah, you were about to kill her, but then she finally revealed where Jack was, which she says that she gave him to Angelo Bronte because he's someone apparently she had a debt to, and she felt like Jack could be payment to help get what he wanted. And then you don't kill her, but you leave her there with like
everything she owns is done. Yeah,
her manor is on fire. Everything's on fire. Basically, everyone's dead. You've killed multiple of her sons.
They deserved it.
Yeah, but you just head off from that. And also now, obviously more than ever, you know that you can't stay at this camp anymore. You've done a lot of damage with the Wraiths and Greys. It hasn't worked out. You show back up at your camp, though, and the Pinkertons show up as well. And they tell us they make kind of the same offer that was made to...
The Pinkertons arrive.
Yeah, the Pinkertons arrive, and they make the same offer that they'd made to Arthur previously to the gang at large and say, if you guys just let us take Dutch here, we'll never come after any of you.
It's probably a lie anyway, but...
Yeah, probably a lie. But the gang here is very committed to one another at this point, largely. And are like, no, Dutch is our guy. We would never turn on Dutch. We're not pieces of shit like you, basically.
Yeah.
And the group packs up really quickly because there's a part where the Pinkertons want to like strong arm it, but then they realize they're outgunned, so they're like, we'll be back with guns.
Yeah, like 50 men.
Yeah. And so you're like, all right, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So Arthur and John go out to Shady Belle. This is the Lemoyne Raider camp that we were at before.
We stole the guns from.
Where we stole the guns. We head back there to make a new camp. Also, actually, I had one thing I wanted to say in this chapter that happened to me that was very fun. Is there's a part with the Lemoyne Raiders. You have all these people who think like Civil War's not over. There's a part where I was writing and I saw several clan members trying to raise a cross to burn it. And I just rolled up and dead-eyed killed them all. And it was maybe one of the most satisfying things that's happened in a game before. Your honor like goes up for it, like
which is great. I feel like your honor should go max for that.
Yeah, like that. But it was just...
I never had that, which I'm bummed about.
Yeah, I just happened to ride by and I like saw some dudes lifting a cross and I was like, oh, are they
not
doing
today?
What the fuck I think they are? And then just iced him.
That's great.
Yeah, it was very satisfying.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I would have had that. What about your other experience in the woods? Remember?
Oh, I got killed by them too?
Yeah. God, you hate freedom.
Yeah, another time I tried to roll up on the clan and there were a lot more of them and I got killed.
Because you hate freedom.
I did that one wrong, but there were a lot more of them and I played it wrong. I tried to throw dynamite but didn't throw it right, so then they caught wind of me too quick.
Yeah.
And then I just got shot the fuck up.
Yeah.
But if I would have landed it right, just blow them all up.
That's one of those things in the game. It's like you just walk around the world and you find shit like that. You're like, this is done right now.
I was like, great. All right, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. You ultimately go to Shady Belle, though. This is your new camp. This is like an old abandoned house, kind of in a swampy area.
It's like a plantation house, but it's really run down. Yeah,
really, long abandoned, it seems. And a little more hidden, more secluded than kind of some of the other plantations.
Like in the swamp.
Yeah. Okay, so crew's set up at Shady Belle, but they're not really near civilization. So they need to travel to Saint Denis, which 3 people said this was their favorite location. It is pretty notable because it's really different. It's industrialized. It's like a big city kind of thing. But Arthur and Dutch go around Saint Denis trying to get information on Angelo Bronte, who Jack is supposedly with.
Yep.
So you head there, and you end up like meeting like street kids and
they work for him.
Yeah, they work for him, and you sort of get this idea that Angelo Bronte is a big deal. I think you could almost compare him to like the mobsters of back in the day.
He like runs the city from behind the scenes essentially, which you find out more and more as this chapter goes on.
Right. Yeah. As you learn more, you just keep seeing that be bigger. That his he's larger than that. So Arthur, Dutch, and John end up going to Angelo Bronte's mansion. And they get there, Jack's fine, and he gives him back. But they say, hey, before I give you Jack back, after this misunderstanding, could you go to my cemetery and defend it from grave robbers?
Yeah, we're like, okay.
Yeah, so you're like, yeah, sure, I guess so. Also, so you and John go take care of that. Dutch yucks it up at Angelo Bronte's house and gets invited to a party at the mayor of Saint Denis' house. Also, Saint Denis is basically New Orleans.
Yeah. And it's way more industrialized than previous towns. It has there's like a factory in it. There's like cobblestone roads. There's like real buildings that are made of brick. It's like a city. Trolleys.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, there's like electricity. Trolleys. Yeah,
it's far different than anywhere you've been.
Yeah,
before.
It's like the first real civilization we've been to.
Yeah, you almost feel weird as Arthur riding a horse around.
Arthur always talks about how much he hates that city.
Yeah.
Because he likes the open Wild West, and this is one of the reasons why it's dying, because cities like this.
Right.
They have like real police too. It's not just sheriffs. It's like guys in look like British police uniforms almost, like coppers,
Yeah, exactly. It looks like that. So it's pretty different. Also, Bronte lets you know about a trolley station that would be easy to rob while you are kind of yucking it up with him, and he invites you to the mayor's house. He's like, hey, you could go here, I don't own the trolley station, but I get some money from it, and it's on insurance, so you could probably just waltz in there. There's like one guy.
Yeah, and it's always full of money.
Yeah, so he talks it up and talks about how easy it would be. Kind of gives you a tip, because he's like, if you'd rob me, it seems like he almost has a deal of, if you'd rob me, my insurance will pay me, but then if you give me some of that money, then like we'll all get what we want.
Yep.
Kind of deal. There's a part on here where Arthur, Javier, Strauss, and Trelawney rob a riverboat casino.
That's so fun.
Yeah, this is super fun. Because you get there and you basically like Ocean's 11 it.
Yeah.
Where
you talk about you're an up and coming oil man, and you're loaded, and
yeah. You look flashy, and you are there to play cards. But then strategically, one of them is sitting. Strauss is like out of the way behind and kind of giving you ideas as to, okay, you should go in, you shouldn't, because I know they're cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll like nod yes or like, no, don't do that.
Right.
So if you listen to him, you win a lot of money and you win a nice watch. But
yep.
Of course, it goes wrong and you have to shoot your way out.
Yep. Yeah. You end up winning that watch. It's great. But then people realize you've been cheating. You have to shoot your way out and jump off.
I don't think they realize you've been cheating. I think you go up to get the watch, and then Javier's dressed as a guard. Then he sticks up the guy, and then the guy has two guns because you take one of them, and you start shooting everyone. Yeah. So you get all the money in the watch. You just have to shoot your way out and then jump off the boat.
Oh, you're right.
Of course I am.
You jump off the boat, though, much richer.
Yes.
Also, Arthur, in this section, helps out Rainsfall and Eagleflies. Rainsfall is a chief. He's an older guy who basically wants peace for his tribe, but they've been continually fucked over by the government.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, which
we
is
know from history how that went.
Yeah, it is very much so. He's experiencing the U.S. government being shitheads.
Yeah, they keep making treaties and breaking them. And in this, I think, most recent one, they have like a reservation, like a bunch of land, but then they found out there's oil on it. So the oil company's like, this is our land now. And they're like breaking the treaty. And whatever.
Actually, your land's over there.
Yeah.
Which is a worse land, that's shittier, and and all of that. Eagleflies is his son, who is probably a little bit younger than you.
Yeah,
but
like late 20s.
Is like strong and impulsive, and like, they can't do that, let's just kill them sort of attitude. And
like, all right.
And his dad is more like, no, like, we've tried to do that before, and this is where it got us. Like, we can't go that route. We need to choose peace. We need to be better men. Even if they're not being like great, we need to be great. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, which is, it sucks because like Rains Falls is right. Like you're not going to beat the army at this point. Your tribe's too small. Killing isn't the answer. But at the same time, you're like, they really fucked you over a lot. I can see why you'd want to try to kill them all. And even if you fail, like, you just didn't go out and just get pushed off to some hovel, Right. It's rough.
And and that's very much how Eagleflies feels of like, well, I would die if I knew I could take some of them with me and defend our honor, or like defend what's right. So from here, you kind of end up in a spot throughout the game after this where you'll help each of them try to do things their way.
Mm-hmm. I think you just do the one mission for Eagle's Flies.
Okay, maybe it's later that we get more with each of them.
Yeah, you try to get this letter that the oil company sent the government or something that like basically incriminates them, like they're taking the land after they knew before they knew there was oil on it or whatever.
That's right. And you end up burning some oil fields in this as well with Eagle Flies when you take that letter.
Yeah.
That's right. So after this, you head back to camp. This is pretty wild at Shady Bell. You're back at camp, you're like hanging out, and the O'Driscolls attack, but before they attack, they send Kieran riding up with his head in his hands. They chopped his head off and he's holding his head.
Yeah, because Kieran used to be an O'Driscoll. So you like use him for information and then you take him back to your camp to like kind of torture him, but not really. And he eventually is like part of the gang. Good dude. Yeah,
he shows that he wasn't really an O'Driscoll. Like he kind of got forced into it.
Yeah. But so it sucks they kill him.
It sucks they kill him. They send him in. The O'Driscolls attack.
A fuck ton of them.
A ton of them. You do manage to fight them off, but again, you are questioning how safe your hideout is, that you may need a new one soon. And again, another gang member down. Things are getting rough, I would say, for Team Dutch. That
you have to keep jumping. You're not making any scores.
Right, or like you make some traction, but then you lose it just as much. You've had people in your gang get killed. Like they're not catching that break when they're looking for that score. This trend continues. When Arthur, Dutch, and Lenny go to rob this trolley station.
One more score again.
Bronte said this would be easy. We'll do it. And also there is some skepticism of, should we rob inside Saint Denis? It's so big. Like, it's not going to be like these towns we've been in before. Like, we can't just get out, can we? But they feel pretty sure that Bronte gave them good info. It'll work. They get there, though, and Bronte has set them up. There's like $10
it's like
in there.
Nothing.
It's like nothing. You find out that there's never money there. Like, the cashier, you're like, where's all the money? And he's like, there's never money here. What are you talking about? Here's what I have. And you're like, motherfucker, Bronte set us up. All the cops like descend in right away.
And you find out he owns the cops too, essentially, so he probably sent them. Just like, all right, this guy's a fucking bitch.
Yeah, he was just trying to get rid of us. Legally, basically.
And just probably, I mean, he could have done it other ways, I'm sure, or tried to do it other ways. But yeah, this is more of like he almost like at this point thinks we're just a joke. Because when you're at the mayor's party too, you're like up on the balcony with him, and the point you like leave, and he like says in Italian like, all right, let's get the good wine out now. He's kind of like thinks we're hicks. Kind of are, but he's a dick about it.
All right, I guess actually we should have talked about that a little at the party too. A thing that's funny is they all have to like dress up in formal clothes.
I hate it,
and like especially Bill's just like looks like he just hates wearing it so much and feels so uncomfortable. That was pretty funny.
That was.
But after being set up though, Dutch of course is pissed, and now he's combined his one last big score speech with, we also got to kill Angelo Bronte because fuck that guy.
His reason is like, well, he controls the town. If we don't get rid of him, like, he'll make sure we can't do this. If we get rid of him, it'll be chaos. And it's like, it kind of makes sense, but it seems unnecessary. And Arthur the whole time's like, is this about revenge? And Dutch was like, no, it's not, but what if it was? It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't change anything.
And you're like,
this is about revenge.
And you're like, yeah, but it would. And he's like, no, revenge, getting paid, what's the difference? You're like, they're different.
So you kind of start to see some rift between Arthur and Dutch. Like, I don't like where you're going with some of this stuff anymore.
Right, because before this, it's sort of been like, you know, even if we don't understand Dutch has always been right, so we'll go with him.
He's done right.
And he's done right. But now you're like, you're not always right. This seems pretty questionable and unwise. And, like, 2 of the guys in our gang have got killed recently.
So we're going to go risk more people
from your crazy shenanigans.
Kill some guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's questionable.
Yeah. You end up meeting a fisherman, though, who can sneak you quietly behind Bronte's mansion, because Bronte's mansion is on, like, the river, so you're going to just take some rafts and come in through the back and surprise him, because, like, you can't go in through the front gates too easily, but if you snuck attack him, you might be able to kill him and be done with it.
And the mission to get this boat, you have to like wade through the fucking swamp.
Hated
it. They're alligators. They make this a point. There's alligators. They keep talking about. You see them in the distance, whatever. And then you like save some guy's life because there's this massive alligator. I mean, it looks like 20 feet long.
It's like the Lake Placid alligator or something.
Essentially, yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's big enough that it could like destroy the boat you're in. Just hell no, fuck that. You have to like shoot it a bunch and like it won't die because it's a giant prehistoric crocodile and it sucks. But it's a funny, fun little terrible side quest.
I hated wading through the water.
Yeah, it sucked because you're in like this water by yourself with a lantern and a pistol. And you're just walking. And you're like, oh, I guess I'll just shoot an alligator if I see it, and then you do, and it's like, yeah, and then. Well, whatever. Yeah, it sucks. If you play it, you'll be traumatized, like I was.
No. Oh, yeah. You feel really vulnerable, and then also there's part of you that just feels gross, like you're walking through a swamp yourself, which would be
swamps are foul.
Yeah,
like it's just muddy, nasty, mosquitoes, poop.
Yeah,
crocodiles, snakes. Just the place rather be most other places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of a place I'd rather be less. Actually, except maybe in the ocean with a shark, but. At least in the swamp, you're on your feet. In the ocean,
that's true.
You're done.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you can only tread water or swim or whatever. Yeah.
Let's move on, please.
Yeah. Gross swamp.
Yeah,
but you secure the rafts from this guy. He agrees to help you, and so the gang attacks Bronte's mansion. The mansion from the back, and they manage to shoot some of his guys quickly and get him. Also, I think this is one of the first times where you have like most of the gang in on an attack or a robbery. Oh, actually, Braithwaite's was the first time when you burnt down the manor.
Yeah, you take the whole
you
squad.
Bring the whole squad.
Yeah,
like there's
Dutch is pissed, which is fair. Like
8 or 10 people.
Yeah, that's like the
And those moments are always pretty cool. Those are among my favorite moments in the game.
Oh yeah,
where you're like, okay, the squad's rolling deep.
Yeah, they got like 10 horses rolling deep, loaded up with guns, and some cool music plays, and you're like, all right, let's go. Let's fucking do this.
Yeah, they're really great. But this was, I guess, the second time that happens after the Braithwaite Manor, where you just roll deep and wreck shit. You manage to capture Bronte, and you're taking him back, and it was a little weird, but I thought it was strange you captured him in the first place. Like, it seems like you should have just killed him at his house.
Dutch wanted... His main thing was like, let's just get rid of Bronte so we can do this thing. But then, you risk yourself getting him out. Yeah, you risk yourself getting him out. Dutch, I think, basically wants to, like, tell him he's better than him. Talk shit to him, and then he shoots him and feeds him to the crocodile. He doesn't shoot him. He like, holds his head over the side of the boat. Right. And is, like, talking shit to him as he's drowning him. And everyone's like, on the boat's like, what are you doing? We don't do this. Right. It's are we the bad guys now? Yeah, then he drowns him and kicks him and feeds him to an alligator. Yeah. And that's like crazy enough that the gang is like, is Dutch okay? Are we the baddies now? Like it's sort of that. Because I think on the boat it's like you, John, Linde, Dutch, Bill, Javier maybe? Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. So John and Arthur are like kind of look at each other like, what the fuck? Because they've been in the gang the longest. Mm-hmm. So they're like, this isn't the Dutch we know. So, yeah. From there, progresses. Yep. Then you have a giant robbery. Yeah, the one last score. Again, your one last score. You've taken care of Bronte. One last score. Yep. And this is at the Saint Denis Bank. Yeah, so it's like they're going to rob a city bank, which is, they assume is full of a lot more money, which it probably is. Yeah, well, because I think, too, this might not be, like, exactly right, but the bank we robbed before in Valentine, it had, like, 1 vault or 2 vaults. Like, it was much smaller. It had, like, 4. Okay. But this one had more vaults. Though, right? This one had a lot bigger vaults. Yeah, and so there's a lot more money. So this was, like, the big score. Yeah. Yeah. And you get a lot of money out of it. And you're using the whole gang for it, too. Yep. And you've got, all your gunslingers are going to go in. Hosea and I think Karen were going to be a distraction down the way. They were going to, like, blow a wagon up or something. Yeah. To draw attention that way. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got this elaborate plan. Everyone's in it. All your gunslingers are going to be in there. This is going to be huge. And you get inside. You're holding them up. You're getting the tellers. Opening up the bank. You crack the safe, so you're doing that. But once you get the money and you're getting ready to head out, I think you only cracked I only cracked one safe.
Okay.
It gets interrupted really quickly because you find out, the Pinkertons are outside.
Yep, Pinkertons are outside.
A lot of them.
Tons of them. They have the place surrounded. They also have Hosea captured. They figured out his ruse right away, have him captured. You have this very brief standoff, and part of you is like, who the fuck snitched? Because
Dutch is kind of
even if our robbery was botched, it wouldn't be botched like this.
Yeah, someone they knew were going to be... They were aware of this happening.
Right. That's how they have Jose out here. That's how we're already surrounded.
Yeah.
It's not like we had to run out shooting because, a gunshot went off inside and people start showing up outside. They're all ready.
A ton of them. Because, it's an old bank from the 1800s. There's no, alarm button.
Right.
Everyone there was, accounted for. No one would have known.
Right.
But, they show up. 5 minutes in.
5 minutes in. And so they have this brief standoff, and they're like, surrender now. And we're like, no. And so the Pinkertons are like, all right, fine. And they just kill Hosea. They're like, light him up, boys. And so they start gunning, shooting at the bank. We start shooting back. During the escape, we end up planting some dynamite to blow a hole in the bank to kind of, all right, we'll make our own door, essentially, because I think there's only the one door in and out. So
it's not an option.
Yeah, can't happen. So we blow a hole in the door or blow a new door, I guess.
Yeah, make a door.
Make a door on the side.
Dynamite, yeah.
Yeah, and run out. As we're running out, John gets captured inside the bank. He gets pinned down by the Pinkertons and gets captured. We manage to climb up the building next door, climb up the ladder. We're running down there. Then Lenny gets killed by some Pinkertons that show up.
Sucked. Yeah, Lenny was great.
Yeah, Lenny's great. And you're like, no, my boy, gone too soon. Lenny gets killed. Dutch, Arthur, Micah, Bill, Javier, and Charles do manage to escape running on the rooftops. They killed a couple Pinkertons that were up there, and they managed to hide in an apartment that no one was in.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we got to lay low for a minute before, but, Saint Denis is on red alert.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they are.
They managed to, they're like, okay, while they're hiding, they're like, we've got to come up with a plan to get out of here. And they decide, well, let's just go on a boat. We have this money. Maybe the captain can take us somewhere that's far away, and, we can regroup the gang from there.
It was a pretty decent plan. As far as how things are going right now,
Yeah, I agree. And so they get to the docks, but the Pinkertons suspect the same thing. So they've got guards along the docks. And so Charles decides, I'll act as a distraction here, and the rest of you will be able to sneak on the boat. And so he basically runs off and he's like, hey, Pinkertons!
Yeah.
They chase after him and he
runs away. Yeah,
funny. Which is funny.
But at that point, I was like, all right, Charles is gone. I thought he was done.
Oh, yeah. I thought we'd see him get gunned down. Yeah. For sure.
Or find him later, he was hanged. Hung.
Yeah.
Whatever the past tense is.
That's what I thought as well. And I was like, oh, man, another real one gone. And it felt very much like things are going to shit. Also, this is a mild aside from the gang, but it reminded me of a real thing that happened. Jesse James tried to rob a bank in Minnesota called Northfield Bank, and it was similar to this, where they just got shut the fuck up when they were trying to get out. They got in, but they tipped off that they were Southerners, and they were acting kind of weird. And so the town figured it out basically immediately. And so the bank's getting robbed, and they have a brief holdup, and then everyone starts shooting at them.
Oh, wow.
And
they escaped?
They get out, but it was this really of scrambling out. So I think 2 of the 8 get killed in the bank, or exiting the bank, and then I think 4 of them get captured, but they're all wounded so severely they have to leave them behind. So only Jesse James and his brother make it out.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it felt very similar when this happened. That's what it made me think of.
Did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's cool. It's an interesting thing, but they accidentally played their hand. They didn't suspect a snitch. They just revealed their hand that they were robbers. Yeah. Just that I think there was a thing where maybe the mayor was walking down the street, and they were like, whoa, the mayor. They were surprised by that, but that town was known for an informal mayor who was always around, and so all right, that's weird. Those guys who obviously aren't from here are all going into the bank.
Yeah. They're robbers.
Yeah, they're robbers, sort of deal. But anyway, aside from that, Dutch and the gang, though, they do manage to get onto this boat. They sneak on. Once they are away from the port or dock or whatever, they show up and say, hey, Captain, we were stowaways. but we have a lot of gold.
Yeah.
So would you take us somewhere?
Yeah, I was like, cool.
And he's like, sure, I like gold.
Yeah, I've probably done the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like at
turn
that
him
point
in.
you're like, well,
You're already on the boat.
yeah, I don't know if people believe me if I tried to be honest now, so I might as well get paid for this.
Yep.
However, unfortunately, the gang now has weather as an enemy. They're
Add to the list.
add to the list of people Dutch has to kill.
Yeah. With extreme prejudice.
Yeah, but the weather wrecks the boat, tosses everyone overboard, sinks the boat, lose the treasure. They get separated in this. You wake up with Arthur on the beach, like messed up.
Yeah.
He's like coughing a lot. He probably almost drowned or like half drowned.
Yeah.
Not doing well, like walking like an injured person. Like they've been through a lot. But he manages to walk down a little bit, and he finds the other five, or the other four. They're all alive. This is big. But they are shipwrecked. They've lost their gold, and they're on some island.
Yeah, no idea where it is.
No idea where it is. And so they like kind of walk around to try to figure out what's up, and they get captured by a local militia pretty quickly. They find out that this militia is led by a guy named Alberto Fusar, who makes people work on the sugar plantation
he's
for
like
another guy.
Yeah, he's the main guy.
Oh, Fusar's the main guy.
Yeah, and then his like main henchman, I forget his name.
He's
He's some like southern guy from the west. Looks like a cowboy kind of.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but yeah, he's he reminds me of Albert, like Bronte, but he just runs a plantation. He's shitty just like that.
Yeah,
Probably worse, actually.
No, yeah, that's good. So, the captain who answers to Fusar is like, oh, your people. Well, guess what? Now you work for us.
Yeah, you're like chained up, and we're gonna figure out who you guys are. You're like, ugh.
Yeah,
not good.
you're gonna work on a sugarcane plantation. But while you're getting marched, you're getting marched with, I don't know, like 10 or 15 villagers who are in chains as well.
They probably tried to escape.
Yeah, and so now you're all getting marched back to the plantation. However, a group of rebels show up and start attacking. So our gang takes advantage of this and helps the rebels put down the militia guys and escape. However, in the escape, Javier gets injured and left behind. Like the soldiers managed to grab him as we run away. And Dutch and... Or no, we also end up meeting Hercule, who is the leader of the militia.
Yeah.
He's also a trader of sorts, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, or a smuggler.
Smuggler. There we go.
Yeah, probably more of a smuggler.
That was what I was looking for.
He's trying to like fight back against Fusar because he sucks and is like just ruining people's lives. Essentially, it's like slave labor.
Right, yeah. It's slave labor. And Hercule, I think, seems to probably have sort of similar ideals to Dutch's gang did, at least at the beginning of the game.
Probably better, because he's like, I'm trying to rescue these people. He's less about himself, more about like saving the people and the country, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking just that being a smuggler, he must have
Yeah.
shady underdealings of some nature.
Oh, fair.
But you're right, he does seem more altruistic than Dutch maybe ever was.
Yeah.
But so you end up kind of in alliance with him of sorts. He sets you up with a camp. He says that with all the heat that's here, he can't smuggle you off, but he might be able to find someone who can, but he wants you to help him with Fusar. So you're like, all right, cool, we can do that. Dutch and Arthur end up going and rescuing Javier.
Yeah.
They find out what like mission he's in or camp or whatever.
Yeah, and at this point too, Dutch like enlists some old blind, sort of blind, like lady to help them find where they're going, like where he's at, and then like Dutch ends up killing her because she wanted more money from him or something, and like pulls a knife out. So Dutch like kills her and is like, oh, she was gonna kill me, like whatever, and he starts kind of like lying about why he killed her. And Arthur's like, oh, what the fuck?
Right.
So then Arthur's like, are you going to kill me next? And like, he starts being really suspicious or not as trusting of Dutch.
Yeah, he's more overtly disagreeing with Dutch as opposed to before where it's like side eyes looking at John like, what the fuck's Dutch doing? Now it's like...
Yeah, now he's making a bunch of comments or like mostly sarcastic about like, I don't agree, you're going to kill me or strangle me like Bronte. Shit like that.
Yeah, now he's a lot more of like, he's pushing back more aggressively.
Yeah, so you start to see a bigger rift between the two.
Yep.
Less trust.
Mm-hmm. You rescue Javier later. There's another part where Arthur is going on a quest, but he gets captured.
A quest.
Yeah.
To find the hidden gems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's off, and he gets captured by the militia, but he manages to escape and rescue the rebels with him. So, again, kind of securing the island, trying to make it a little better. Then you get another cool, like, gang battle that happens.
This one's a little less believable for me, but...
Yeah, I think that this is where you're maybe going, like, full Western, in a sense. Like, you know, the other things are like, okay, this is the Western, it's a little wild. This one, you
fight off an army, kind of.
Yeah, you fight an army with, like, cannons and stuff. Like, it's pretty wild.
They send, like, a military boat to, like, attack this, like, fortress you're staying in up on a cliff hill type thing. And you, like, use this military grade... It's like a missile launcher back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. You, like... destroy this boat with this missile launcher. You're like, pretty sweet, but also like, what?
Yeah.
But very fun.
Yeah, super fun to play.
Yes.
Definitely like the least realistic thing in the game, probably. But also you have the soldiers doing like a beach assault.
Yeah.
And so there's a part where you like snipe soldiers as they run up.
Yeah, you like hold the beach. It's pretty sweat.
It's like fun to play.
Yeah.
For sure.
But Arthur's at this point in the game, you realize Arthur's like the best shot that maybe he's not ever was or something, but in the gang, he's like the guy. He's like, he'll shoot people from anywhere.
Yeah.
He's really good at shooting.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
Yeah. So you manage to defend Hercule's base. You do that, and so he says, okay, I have a captain who can get you off on his boat. However, the militia has captured him, and we have a two-part goal. We need to blow up their cannons so they can't sink your ship as you leave, and we've got to rescue the captain. So you go and do this. You destroy the cannons. You rescue the ship captain. You also kill Fusar, I believe, during that.
No, you kill his main guy. Fusar escapes.
Okay.
I think that always happens. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't kill him in my game.
He wasn't in the tower you explode with a cannon?
Oh, you're right. You do kill him. Yep. Yeah, so there's a point where you have like a Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
With you, Dutch, Fusar, his main guy, and then the ship captain's like on the ground.
And you have the
kick him. You kick him the gun, and he shoots the main guy. And
the
Fusar
captain, right?
runs.
Yeah. That's right.
But then later, right, you kill Fusar.
That's right.
With a cannon in the tower.
Right. No, that's good.
Steel trap with this brain right here, dude.
But you get away. You've left Guarma, finally. You escape on your boat, and as the gang does, after a lot of robberies or other shenanigans they get in, they split up and they all go back to the same place different ways, so that they don't get suspicion, or if they notice someone tailing them, that they won't lead them back to camp, kind of thing. And Arthur gets back to Shady Belle first, and he finds a letter from Sadie saying that they went to Linde, which this is like the swampland where we went and got the boats.
More southern.
Yeah. And she also does it in a coded way. You learned about this before, but they all have like fake names they use and fake terms they'll use in leaving a letter, like, oh, Uncle blah blah blah, da 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 da. Like, they just have ways to speak in code to each other. So Arthur finds out where she is from that letter and is able to understand. Also, while you're there, a couple Pinkertons show up to investigate the house because no one's been there in a while.
They keep checking it to make sure no one showed up.
Yeah, so I killed them. I guess you can just sneak out, but...
I killed, like, all but one who was really far away.
I think I killed all of them.
Which is fair.
Probably. I'm pretty sure I did. But I tried to do it all stealthily.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't shoot any. I just stabbed them or stabbed them.
Broke their necks or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet to do.
Yeah. Arthur, though, arrives at Linde, and he finds out that Sadie's been taking care of everything. She's kind of held the gang down while you've been gone. That they managed to get the bodies of Jose and Lenny and bury them. That she's kept the gang together. which is cool. I really liked hearing this reporter. I was like, hell yeah, Sadie.
Yeah, she's a real one for sure.
Yeah. You also find out that John is still captured. He's at prison, and he's going to be sentenced to be hanged.
Yeah, and around this point too, like after you're talking to Sadie, Dutch and everyone else shows up too, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yep.
And then you like tell Dutch like John's captured, we got to get him. He's kind of like, we'll get there. So
Yeah.
It's kind of like Arthur's like, what?
Yeah.
You've never let someone just sit in prison or whatever. We got to save him. They're gonna hang him. So this is another point where Arthur's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Dutch is really like laissez-faire about it. He's like, I mean, we'll save John when we save John. I mean, he wasn't like the best of us, but we'll save him because he's our guy. And you're like...
Yeah, Sadie and Arthur are like, huh?
Yeah, you're like, what?
What? Like, he's John. Like, you raised him, kind of, you know?
Yeah,
like he's like Arthur, kind of like your son, almost.
Yeah, aren't we a family of a gang? Like, what? Why, we can't leave people behind. What are you talking about? Is sort of the attitude. But they get interrupted because they get attacked by the Pinkertons again. Because Bill, basically, he was like, I was asking everyone where you were.
Yeah.
And it's like, you fucking idiot.
So right when Bill gets there, the Pinkertons get there, and they probably followed him.
Yeah, right.
Like, you fucking fool.
Yeah. So you get a giant fight here. There's a part where the Pinkertons have a Gatling gun, which you end up turning on them, which was pretty fun.
That was pretty fun. Real quick, too. Gorma got a vote, too, for one of the favorite places.
Oh, good call.
But, yeah.
So, shot up again. You end up managing to kill the Pinkertons and win this battle, but again, you need a new place to stay.
Yep, yet again.
Yet again. So,
right away, right when you get back from a voyage at sea.
Right, yeah. And that clearly they were doing fine before you all got here. Like, LaKay was working out for Sadie and the gang there.
Yeah, it looked rough, but they weren't being attacked by Pinkertons, at least.
Right, right. But once the rest of the gang got
mostly Bill.
Yeah, God, what an idiot. So then we move on to our next location, which is Beavers Hollow. One person said this was their favorite location. And Dutch sends Arthur and Charles to find a new camp again. And they go to Beavers Hollow. This area is a place that's known to be pretty dangerous. Like, it almost feels like criminals are afraid of this place. Like, it's a rough place. But they end up finding this cave where a different gang called the Murphy Gang, or
Murphy, yep.
Yeah, Murphy. I was like, did I say that right?
Yeah, it's Murphy. Yep.
Murphy Gang held up. And these dudes are wild.
They're like the worst we've seen. They're worse than the O'Driscoll boys, you know, because they seem to not have a leader. They just kind of like to rape and pillage, to be real. Like, that's just what they do.
Yep.
And, as you find this cave and you kill everyone, you find, like, a lady who is in a fucking cage and, like, really fucked up, who you save. But there's, they're really bad.
Yeah.
And they're, like, they're just kind of, like, inbred people. Kind of the vibe they give off.
Yeah. Also, they have dudes who charge at you with machetes that are one kills, which are really annoying to fight.
I found a way you can do this, where if they get close enough, you can hit them and then shoot them and kill them. Oh. It's like a weird, like, you play Halo where you, like, do the, I forget what that's called. I'm going to call it double tap, where you shoot them with the shotgun and then hit them real quick, and melee them and then kill them. It's kind of like that, but reverse. So you punch them and you shoot them in the face.
Interesting. Okay.
They have to be really close. So it's risky.
So it's your kind of last second. If they're too close to just shoot, you can hit them to move them back and then shoot them.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't get killed like a ton in this game. Like, I did some, but in this section I got killed quite a few times because of that.
Yeah,
because
they were
bad. They'd run out and I'd like run out of Deadeye before they get there or something, and I'm like, shit, load faster, Arthur.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
and then you use your map, like on your little like mini map on the bottom left, you see like little red dots where the people are. And when you're fighting these guys, it usually matters. Like, if someone's behind you, it's bad. But in this case, you see a red dot moving toward you from behind. You're like, all right, that guy's got a machete. I gotta fucking turn around and kill that guy right away.
Yeah,
it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, no,
you just can't see him. You just turn around. There's a guy right there about to chop your head off.
Right.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, but you run through their gang, you kill them, you take their spot. The group's now setting up camp again, and Molly O'Shea shows up drunk, and she had at one point, I think, been Dutch's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then along the way, as he's been acting shitty in general, he's also specifically been shitty to her.
Yeah. She thinks he's like cheating on her. She's like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy." But he probably is.
Well, and also he's even said things like, "Why would I care what you think?" Like he's pretty mean to her.
Yeah.
Along the way. But she shows up drunk, and she's just talking shit, talking a big game, and it's like, "Ha ha, you idiots! You want to know why all the bad things happen to you? Because I told the Pinkertons."
It's just stupid to say and do, but
yeah. And Dutch and Arthur start arguing about what to do. Dutch is like, "You know what happens to snitches?"
Yeah, which it's like a gang rule. Like, we kill people with the snitch on us, which is like, you kind of, I guess, have to as a gang. But Arthur's kind of like, whoa, wait, she's been here forever. So you kind of see Arthur's like, I don't know about these rules anymore.
Yeah, well, and I think also he's not like, he's at least mildly suspicious that she's even telling the truth, I think.
Yeah,
it's like
she's hammered.
Yeah, she's hammered and she's mad at you. Like,
yeah.
Like, she might have done this, and, you know, you might be right, we have to kill her, but I think he's still sort of suspicious on it.
Yeah, let's, like, talk about this first.
Yeah, but while they're arguing about it, Susan Grimshaw shoots her with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And then is like, "You and you, burn her body."
Yeah, like she's like, "Arthur, you know the rules." Like,
yeah.
All right,
and you're
that's
like,
it.
You're like, "Fine, I guess." Like,
yeah.
And I think there is a sense of, okay, I guess she was the snitch.
She was, yeah.
And... you know, the end.
Yep.
We'll move on. After this, Arthur goes to Saint Denis to meet up with Sadie, and while he's there, he has a really severe coughing fit while he's on his horse and falls off because he passes out. And before this, Arthur has coughed a bit through the game in general.
Yeah, I feel like it really started in Guarma.
That's where you
after
really...
at sea.
At sea, you really notice it when he shipwrecks on the beach from there. He's coughing quite a lot. Enough that other characters are like, "You okay?" Like,
yeah.
He's not sounding great.
Nope.
He passes out here, and a stranger helps you out and takes you to the doctor. And the doctor looks at you for...
that's like a minute max.
A minute, very briefly, but gives you the wonderful news that you have tuberculosis.
Yeah. Well, and I actually looked up after this. I was like, nah, that's fine. Looked up stats of this, like, from people in the 1800s. 1 in 7 people died from this disease, like, that lived.
Just in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, you know, he's done.
That
was like it's like a death sentence, basically.
Did it say how many people, like what % of people that got tuberculosis died? Like, is it like one of those things where
I didn't see that, but I'm sure it's like...
I imagine it's...
really high.
Yeah,
There's no treatment.
Like,
you just had it and you're done.
Right. Well, and that's basically what the doctor says, too, here. Is like, well, this will kill you, but you could make it take longer if you go somewhere that's hot and dry. So, like, Arizona.
And take it easy.
Yeah, and take it easy. Like Arizona or something like that. Which I think is what happened in real life back then, too. Is people would try to go to those kind of climates.
I don't know if it actually did anything or not. I mean, it probably slowed down somewhat.
I bet it did. Well, especially like compared to here, like Louisiana is like hot and muggy.
Yeah, I'm sure that and stress, which is
probably,
Arthur's life, like didn't help.
Yeah, they probably exacerbated it versus if you were in Arizona and weren't doing anything like maybe the weather would help it, but you were probably still going to die of tuberculosis. Like, I don't know that you're getting away from it.
Yeah, but it's fucking awful news.
Horrible news.
Yeah.
Big bummer. And I think that this also prompts more thinking about his life for Arthur from this point. So, as we've talked about multiple times, he's having some friction with Dutch. He's kind of questioning, are we doing the right thing? Are we good? What, all that stuff. And now, being faced with, you have tuberculosis, like, Arthur knows what that means, too, when he gets this news. Like, we're like, oh no, this is bad. And Arthur himself is like, this is bad.
Yeah. It's like, it's certain death.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when it's going to be.
Right. And so that's a new consideration he has going.
Yeah, and then throughout the game going forward, too, I think your health and stamina is slightly hurt from this.
Yep.
And it becomes Arthur coughs a lot.
Yep.
And there's certain times, like, mostly, not like when you're playing necessarily, but like when there's like cutscenes and shit, he's like coughing after he does some stuff. So you're like, okay, this is Arthur's not the same.
Yeah.
Which is pretty painful to see.
Yep. It really is. After this happens, Arthur meets up with Sadie. She has a balloon pilot.
Yeah.
That
this guy was great.
She booked lessons with for Arthur. That's super funny.
Yeah.
This guy's a trip. He's so weird.
He's like what you'd expect, because balloons aren't like hot air balloons aren't like super common. Arthur doesn't want to be up in there, and the guy's like really quirky and like eccentric about balloons. Like kind of what you expect.
Yeah, he totally is. And the reason they're doing these balloon lessons is Arthur needs to go take a look over the prison island to see that John is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to go up high and he's going to look in binoculars. And he does this. However, the prison kind of figures out that what they're doing, so they start shooting at the balloon.
Yeah.
This guy is like, why are you doing this? What are we doing? And you're just like, shut up. Like, you're kind of normal Arthur attitude, which is great. But you do come back, you get away from the prison, no one's shooting at you. But you see down below that the O'Driscolls are going after Sadie.
Because she antagonized him.
Yeah, because she antagonized him.
Yeah.
So you are trying to help Sadie. You're like trying to shoot some O'Driscolls that are chasing her on horseback. Unfortunately, the balloon operator gets killed.
Yeah, which sucks. That guy was great.
Yeah, which is like, dang, I would have done more. Like, if there were side quests, more balloon side quests.
I would have done them. I hated being the balloon. It was annoying. It was slow.
Oh, yeah.
It was, the guy was, it was great.
Yeah,
great
but he was
character.
such a weird side character that I would have wanted to see him again.
Yeah, and Arthur was like, Sadie, what the fuck? You got this guy killed.
Yeah.
You gotta live with that.
Yeah, and Arthur's gives her a hard time about that, of like, you got an innocent killed who was like, he didn't have anything to do with this.
Because you couldn't just not kill the O'Driscolls for a second.
Right.
Which, her background's like, okay.
Yeah, you understand why she's got to do it, but, why she's going to do it, but...
timing is important.
Yeah, just, you could have done this when this guy wasn't around, and we could have killed him. Like, that's fine, I don't care about killing them. But Sadie also says that Colm O'Driscoll's been captured, and is sentenced to hang, that she aims to see it. So we got to see this happen. But I think she also wanted to take them out because she's like, well, if I could get all of them, like, he'll be gone, and maybe some of them will slink away, so I want to kill them while I can.
Yeah,
sort of attitude.
There's also, you find out too that Colm's been sentenced to hang like multiple times, and they always like save him from getting hanged by like killing everyone or whatever. So she's like, we're gonna be there to make sure he gets killed.
Yep.
Like, yeah, of course.
Yep.
But not this way. You shouldn't have killed this guy killed.
Yeah. After this, you do go to see Colm O'Driscoll hang. Dutch and Arthur and Sadie all go. You end up sabotaging some potential rescue attempts because you're like, all right, well, he always gets out of these, so let's make sure he doesn't. So you like go to a nearby apartment and like kill a sniper.
Yeah, and then you take the sniper, and you're like watching from up on the roof.
Yeah, so then Sadie and Dutch are able to be down there. You've kind of dealt with the various henchmen in the background, and Arthur's now in the sniping spot.
Yeah, and this part's great because you like it zooms in on Colm, and he's like thinking, I'm just gonna get out of this, and then he sees that Sadie and Dutch are in the crowd, and they've like taken his guys, and he's like, what? Then he looks up at the roof, and then he sees Arthur like waving at him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh fuck.
Yep.
He's like, he realizes I'm gonna get hung here and die.
And it happens.
Yep.
He gets hung. A couple of Driscolls try to fight a little bit, but
it's because Sadie kills them in front of everyone. She's like, and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's a little blinded by her rage.
Yep.
Justified, but she's still a little impulsive.
Yep.
I guess wrong place, wrong time. I guess that would be sort of your thing.
Yeah, I mean,
of like, we can kill these people, we probably should, but
not in the middle of hanging in front of the police and a bunch of townsfolk.
Right.
Yeah, which you shoot them all and it's fine.
Yeah. After this, as we mentioned before, Dutch is still not concerned with saving John. We're like, hey, we took a balloon, we found out he's there, like, this hanging is coming up soon for him, like, we gotta bust him out. And Dutch is like, I don't know, I never really liked John. Like, he's kind of acting like that. Like,
yeah.
And so Arthur and Sadie take matters into their own hand. Abigail also asks you, she's like, fuck Dutch for this, but like, could you save John? And you two are like, yeah, we'll save John.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up rescuing him. You end up taking a boat to the prison island.
You take a guard hostage, make him bring John out, and then you get John and then fight your way off the island.
Yep.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, pretty fun. You ultimately get away. There's also a part in here that was pretty good where horsemen come out in front of you and you're shooting at them as they ride at you. It's pretty chaotic. Running through the fields of this prison island.
Yeah. And I think you get back and John's Dutch, what the fuck? And then fair. He's pissed. He's you're gonna let me hang. Judge is oh, you wouldn't have hung. I would have hung.
Yeah, and Dutch sort of has a, what are you doing here kind of attitude. And you're
I said it wasn't time yet. Bro, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of one of the last straws, I think, for Arthur and John and Sadie. You're getting off base here.
Yeah, not great. From here, Dutch, Arthur, and Micah go to confront Leviticus Cornwall. Dutch is all right, well, let's go let him know, we'll go socialize.
Yeah, Arthur's what are you doing?
Yeah, and Arthur's this is flashy and stupid, no. But Dutch wants to, so Arthur's forced along with it. And in their brief conversation, Dutch decides to kill Leviticus Cornwall.
Yeah. Well, he asks him, he's give me $10,000 in this boat and we'll let you live. And Cornwall's no. And then Dutch kills him.
He's all right, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't want that anyway.
Yeah, you're nuts, dude.
Yeah, Dutch is definitely
he's full crazy at this point.
Yeah, he's unhinged. But they steal in this too. They steal some papers showing the U.S. government had a contract with Cornwall for dynamite, and they want to steal this dynamite for one last heist. Again, the theme continues. One more heist, then we'll disappear.
Yep.
And so Dutch has sort of this elaborate plan. His aim is, and we'll I guess we'll see this. Dutch and Arthur end up meeting up with Eagle Flies again, and they attack the U.S. Army on a patrol.
Yeah, it's not, at this point, Dutch's big plan here is, to quote-unquote help the Native Americans and, fight back, but he's really just using them to cause a big distraction.
Yep.
And Arthur's seeing right through, and he's don't do this. You're just using them, and
right.
Trying to convince the Native Americans not to do this. But Eagles Flies is no. He's blinded by rage too, like Sadie.
Right.
He's falling right into it.
Right. Eagle Flies is only seeing how he's feeling, not seeing that Dutch is being manipulative. Yeah. And so Dutch's kind of ultimate aim here, right, is we're going to take the dynamite, we're going to blow up the train so that reinforcements can't come in. They can't bring supplies. The Native Americans and the U.S. Army will be fighting. People will be distracted by that. We'll pull our one last heist, and then we'll get away because no one's going to even be looking at us. So that's his kind of plan, and he's basically, let's ruin this region and ruin a bunch of people alive.
Yep.
To make this one last heist. And again, you're this isn't us. And Arthur is pushing back with it along the way a bit. But also, again, Arthur is loyal and all of those things, and so he cares about Dutch, and so he's not fuck you, I'm gonna quit the gang then.
Yeah,
he doesn't get there. He's not that way, but he is actively dissenting with ideas no, this isn't a good thing, this isn't us. There's a part in this where Eagle Flies gets captured by the army, and Arthur and Charles break him out.
That part was pretty fun.
Yeah,
they go with bow and arrows and knives and go stealth mode.
Yeah, that was
cool. Black Ops kill a bunch of guys.
Yeah, that was cool going into the fort. I like that too. Also, you have, this is the part I was thinking of earlier that I'd forgotten, but you also help Rains Falls a few times. So Arthur ends up in sort of a unique situation where he'll do bad activities with Eagle Flies on behalf of Dutch, attacking the army, shit like that. And he'll also do good activities on behalf of Rains Falls, of doing things like they steal some medicine they need.
Yep.
I don't think Rains Falls knows it, but it would be pro Rains Falls.
Yeah, that's what's his name? It's Colonel.
There's
some army guy that's on the side of the Native Americans because he realizes how fucked up it is.
Right, and he's trying to be a good representative of the U.S. government to them, trying to
he's fighting for them. He's trying to get them not to lose their land. He's trying to get them the vaccines they need.
Yeah,
because the army's withheld it for no reason.
Right, and so he's a good guy, and him and Rains Falls keep trying to do things by the book, doing them the right way, and they keep getting screwed over, and then Eagles Flies gets mad and does the other things. And so you end up kind of being involved in both, but you see that Rains Falls is a good guy, and Arthur and him, I think, get along and have respect for each other.
Yeah.
And things like that. And I think Arthur has a lot of... I imagine young Arthur was a lot like Eagles Flies, and you get conversations, some about that, where Arthur was probably more impulsive and, fighting for justice and killing and trying to get things done that way.
Yeah, because there's a moment where Arthur... It's like a... I don't know. When, Arthur's writing his journal, you, kind of get to see it. He's kind of like... Yeah, in the past, I would have thought Rains Falls is like a weak man who couldn't do anything, but now I see he has a lot of wisdom, and I think I respect him. Mm-hmm. So you kind of see his worldview has changed a lot. Yep.
Also, in this time, you see that Arthur's been replaced as Dutch's number 2. Now it's Micah. Micah and Dutch are always going off and having secret meetings.
Bad news.
Yeah. And you kind of... And before this, you're seeing it, but it's made official.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a part where
Micah's... Well, I guess Dutch and Micah both. Micah gives Arthur orders. And he's
Micah gives Arthur orders.
You're the boss now. All right, boss man.
Yeah, it's official, where Dutch and Micah will come up with secret plans, and then Micah will probably be in the role that Arthur's been in, of, okay, we're going to do this. Yep. And you also see that Dutch has even further gone off the end, right? Micah's been impulsive, all of these things. And Dutch is exemplifying all of these things even more. The worst parts of Dutch and Micah are just growing with each other and making it worse. Now that, Arthur's not being listened to, that Hosea's not there anymore, that the situation's worse. So I think Dutch is compromising on who he was at the beginning of the game, all that.
Yep.
But Micah has Arthur and Bill go steal that dynamite. Then John and Arthur go blow up the bridge with it. On the way, John and Arthur have some talks where John expresses his doubts about Dutch, and you're just you should leave, dude. You've got a family.
Yeah, take your family and go when shit hits the fan.
Yeah, with everything that's happened, you're not a coward or anything like that. You should get out, because I think Dutch is going to lead us to our end, basically.
Yep.
And John says he needs some money, though, before they leave. And so you and John talk a little bit about stealing Dutch's chest of money, because Dutch has a big chest of kind of the money that...
It used to be communal.
It used to be communal.
Now it's not.
Yeah, now it's kind of hidden away. And so he's got our money, so if we leave, we'll be penniless, which, then we're in trouble too. So let's steal that money and then go, kind of thing. And you're all right, that makes sense to me. Sadie, in this time, also asks you to help her finish off the O'Driscolls, and you agree, but you say, hey, when the time comes, get John and Abigail and Jack out of here, and I'll do it. And she's like, all right, fine, whatever.
Yeah, she's like, I see. I got you.
Yeah.
She sees what's going on with Dutch, too.
Yeah, she sees that Dutch is not doing well, and you haven't expressed, you haven't told anyone you have tuberculosis yet, but you kind of expressed to her, I don't know that I'm going to be around to get them out, so I need you to do that. I need you to be that point person. And Sadie's like, cool, we can do that. And then you go and kill the rest of the O'Driscolls off. That's great.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Then, after this, you are back at camp. Eagles Flies shows up, says the army's killing their people, that they're going to go deal with it, they're going to have a battle. And he asks you to come, and the gang decides to join. And in this battle, this is maybe the biggest battle in the game, because there's just total chaos going on.
Yeah, it is crazy.
All around.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest one.
There's tons of soldiers, tons of Native Americans, tons of the gang members. It's a big battle. Mm-hmm. During the fighting, you've killed your way through a lot of the army, and you end up in a spot where you're in a factory, and Arthur ends up getting surrounded, and Dutch is just out of sight. And
he's in the next room, kind of hiding.
Yeah,
but you see him look at Arthur, because Arthur gets like hit in the face by like some steam, so he can't see.
Yeah.
But he's like, there's a guy with a knife trying to kill him. Arthur's like fending him off. He's like, Dutch, help, and Dutch, like, you see him look at it and just kind of walk out the door.
Right.
Yeah, she was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And Arthur like knows Dutch left.
Yeah, he knows Dutch left, that Dutch could have intervened but didn't. And you're like, oh no, Arthur might meet his end. But Eagles Flies intervenes. He saves Arthur but is wounded. Because I think there's like a couple guys with guns pointed at Arthur, right?
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 guys and then the guy with the knife.
But Eagle Flies shows up. He manages to kill a few of those guys and cause distraction so that Arthur can get out and kill the rest. But Eagles Flies gets mortally wounded.
He gets shot in the...
Like the stomach or something?
Yeah, stomach, ribs area.
Yeah, it's a bad shot.
Back then, you're like, you're done.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're done.
Yeah, it's a bad shot. So from here, Arthur and Charles get Eagle Flies back to Rains Falls, get him back to his dad, and the gang kind of heads off. And you get him to Rains Falls, but he dies like shortly thereafter. Mm-hmm. And Charles says that the tribe needs to move on, and he's going to lead them somewhere else. He's like, we can't leave these people. Like, after this attack, like, the army's going to come up here and kill everyone. So I'm going to get them out of here. You go back to the gang. And you're almost like, can I stay? Like, I'll help you. And Charles is like, I got this. You need to take care of the gang, like, who's left there. Like, this is not okay. What's going on? So then Charles, again, similar spot to you or John, where you're like, this isn't...
Yeah.
The gang's broken.
Yep.
Arthur gets back to camp. When you get back, Dutch is, again, crazy. He also tells you that Uncle, Pearson, and Mary Beth have left and that they're all cowards. So you're really seeing, again, the gang's broken. People are dropping off. We're just making things worse, really.
Yep.
Dutch wants you to rob an army supply train. And you're like, all right, Dutch, I'll do it, but only if John and his family are let out of the gang. And Dutch is like, only? Like, you're gonna, command this of me?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I command it. And he's like,
insist. I insist.
And then Dutch, like, is actually mad about it, but then he's like, sure. And you're like, all right, you fucker.
We know he's pissed. Arthur's not as aware, I guess, because we're the third party, but... Yeah,
as the third party, you're like, I don't fucking believe you.
Yeah,
like,
at this point, too, like, you left us to die, you fucker.
Yeah. So, you go to rob this train. Arthur and John hop on the train first, and manage to fight some soldiers. But during the fighting of the soldiers, more people come. John gets shot off the train. Mm-hmm. And Micah goes after him.
Micah and Dutch. Yeah,
Micah and Dutch go after him.
Yeah, the bad guys.
And they come back, and they tell you that John didn't make it. You're distraught about this, but you do manage to finish robbing this train. You head back towards the camp. On the way back, you find out Abigail's been captured by the Pinkertons. Tilly lets you know this. She has Jack, and maybe Sadie's with them too. Or no, you send her to Sadie, maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of that.
Yeah. Either way, Abigail's been captured. Mm-hmm. And again, Dutch doesn't care. He's like, well, John's dead. John's not part of the gang anymore, so who cares about Abigail? And you're like, stop leaving people behind.
Yeah, Micah's like, we gotta go, man. Dutch is like, yeah, it's just one lady, let's go. And Arthur's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So then Arthur and Sadie, Sadie's with us now.
Yeah.
Arthur and Sadie ride out to rescue Abigail. They manage to, she's held up by the Pinkertons, and they do manage to rescue her and kill the main bad guy, Pinkerton, who's a guy named Milton.
Yeah. At this point, too, it's worth noting Arthur's gotten weaker and weaker. You see this here pretty clearly. Arthur's
gotten weaker and weaker, and so it gets to a spot where he's the sniper and Sadie's the gunman, like, running up. And so you, like, kill your way to the Pinkerton spot. Sadie goes in, but then doesn't come out, and you're like, fuck. So Arthur's like, all right, I'll go down. He goes inside. Sadie's been, like, captured by Milton, and then you try to, like, fight Milton briefly, but you're pretty weak.
Yeah.
And get captured as well. And he does sort of your bad guy thing of explaining everything that's gone on.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck? How'd you get onto us? Like, who was the snitch? Wasn't it Mary Beth? Or
I think he just tells you, actually. I don't think you... I think he like gloats like, yeah, Mike was a good boy and just we caught him after blah blah blah, and now he's been feeding us info ever since.
Yeah, so you find out that the person who got killed, Karen, was it, or what was her name?
Molly.
I
think she was also a snitch.
I don't think she was.
Oh.
I think
maybe not actually. Yeah.
I don't think she was a snitch. She was just talking shit while she was drunk.
Oh,
and so I think you were like, "Oh, you got helped by a snitch." And he's like, "Yep, Micah was a good boy." And then you're like, "It wasn't Molly?" And she's like, "Nope, picked her up." I think he says at one point we picked her up and she wouldn't say anything. But it worked out conveniently for Micah that we didn't think there was a snitch anymore.
Yeah, because he kept feeding him info.
He kept feeding him info, but the person they thought was the snitch got killed. So it was Micah. And in kind of the grand telling of this, though, fortunately Abigail escapes and she kills Milton.
Yep.
And the three of you head off. And Arthur gets to camp.
Yeah, I think at this point you tell Sadie, take Abigail, meet up with
Tilly and Jack, and get out of here. That's it. Okay. That's why it was fucked up in my sequence.
Yep.
Arthur heads back to camp though, and he's like, "All right, I've got to unmask Micah." And he gets there and he says, "Micah's the traitor," and like tries to.
You have like a Mexican standoff here.
Yeah. And Susan Grimshaw believes you, and then John shows up. In the middle of this Mexican standoff too, and says that Dutch just left him, that he didn't even look for him.
Yep.
And so then you end up in the standoff even more, where it's John and Arthur and Susan Grimshaw pointing guns at Micah largely, and then Dutch is like, okay, so who's with Dutch or against Dutch? Who's with me or against me? Kind of thing. And basically all the gang points their guns at Arthur and John and Susan.
Yep.
Which sucks. And then the Pinkertons start to roll up. You hear them coming. In this moment of distraction, Micah kills Susan Grimshaw. Shootout continues. But basically, because the Pinkertons showed up, Dutch and the gang all leave. You and John have to shoot at the Pinkertons and try to run away yourself. And Arthur and John are escaping together. Eventually, there's a point where like your horses get killed.
Yeah, it was pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you and John are riding at this point. It's just you two, and you're like trying to escape. You're trying to get John back to his family. And then the army, I think it's the army and Pinkertons and the gang too, is all like Dutch and Micah and some other guys are shooting at you.
Yep.
Then like cannons kill your horses. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it sucks. And there's a point where, I mean, Arthur too, tuberculosis out.
He's done.
He is done. And he tells John, he's like, you got to go on without me. You have to escape. Like, and John wants to be like, no, we're brothers. And you're like, dude, if we're both dead and we're brothers, it's not worth it. Like, you need to get back to your family. You need to do right, change your life. You know, all of that.
Gives him this hat.
Yeah. So John heads off. Arthur's struggling. A little bit later, Micah shows up and starts to fight Arthur. And through this, they've had a rivalry the whole time. They've never liked each other. Now that Micah's had power for the last, chapter or two, he's been a real dickhead to Arthur the whole time.
Way shittier, yeah.
Call him Black Lung and all that. You end up like in a fist fight for a while. I think our endings are different here.
Oh, so, you got the bad one?
Yeah. So we'll describe... I can describe mine. You can describe yours, I guess.
I want to point out throughout this fight, you're fucked up and you're like dying, but you're like, in my game at least, I was beating Micah up. It was pretty even, but there was times I was like fucking him up.
Mine, I did a little. It was like not as good. Arthur was definitely sicker.
Yeah, and mine was Arthur was sick too, but he was like fighting Micah, and at one point he's like, you can't even kill a dying man, you fucking idiot. He like talks a lot of shit to him.
Okay, mine's more sad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. So Arthur's a bit weaker, and like he gets some shots in, but Micah's definitely winning.
Oh.
And so then there's a part where then Dutch rolls up.
Yeah.
And sees what's happening. For mine, so I end up with low honor. That's why my enters.
Oh, you're evil, dude.
Well, it sucks because I was accidentally evil. I think I was just like slightly below 50%, and I just didn't do a lot of things that were pro or against. I didn't look at it that hard. If I had known, I perhaps would have done something different. But you get to a spot. Arthur's like beat up pretty heavily on the ground, like breathing rough.
Yeah, that's how mine was too. Micah was fucked up too, though, but he was.
And Micah's injured a bit in mine, but probably not as bad. And Dutch rolls up and he sees kind of what's happening. And Arthur's like, Dutch, Micah's the traitor. He's bad. You know, you've got to get rid of him. And Micah pulls a gun out, points it at Arthur. And Arthur's like, Dutch, like, it's me. And then Dutch just walks away. And then Micah shoots him in the head. Shoots Arthur in the head.
Oh, wow. That's sad.
And then it's fucking over. And you're like,
God.
The bad guy's fucking won.
Yeah.
Like, it feels really much that way.
Yeah.
I think yours is a little different, though.
Mine is a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
So in my game, it's probably more even fight. Like, Arthur fucks Mike up. Micah definitely... I mean, Arthur's like... Then he's like on the ground. He's bloodied. Micah's also fucked up and bloodied. And you're like reaching... So there's a gun on the ground. You're like reaching for it and you're like hands on it. And then Dutch shows up and puts his boot on your hand with a gun. And you like kind of talk to him. And... let's see, at this point, Micah doesn't have any more guns, so he's like, Dutch, come on, it's me. And Arthur's like, he's the rat, he's the mole, whatever. The Dutch ends up leaving, but then Micah leaves too, because the army's coming or something. So he like runs away, and it seems like they kind of split paths.
Okay.
And then Arthur dies, like 10 years later. I'm just kidding. He dies.
Doesn't he die during the sunset?
Yeah, he like looks out the sunset and like dies happily and peacefully because he knows John got away, and he still dies. It sucks.
Yeah, that's
really
still
shitty.
Sucks. That's a
but yeah, it's like he didn't get killed. He like died of tuberculosis.
Yeah,
died looking at the sunset over the west.
Okay,
He's happy.
Yeah, that's better. Micah just puts a bullet in his head like he's a fucking sick animal.
Yeah.
It is fucked up.
Yeah.
I wanted to kill Micah even more after that. I wanted to kill him for a while before this.
But now, like, you're going to die. And I think at this point, too, John, or Arthur says, John, like, I got John out. Like, he's safe. He's free. So he, like, talks a little shit, too, at the end. Yep. He's like, I can die happy because I know John got out. Mm-hmm. And then Dutch leaves and Micah leaves. And, yeah. That's it. It's fucking...
Okay, God, so curtains for Red Dead 2. However, as...
Is it, though?
as the other games have had, there is an epilogue. Our epilogue picks up several years later after the gang's dispersed. John's trying to live a clean life under the alias Jim Milton. And him and Abigail and Jack have kind of been on the move trying to make a life that's not of crime, make a clean life, but have kind of been drawn back into it time after time, usually because John does some outlaw shit and kind of messes it up. And so they move to a new town. John takes a delivery to David Getty's farm. He's a big landowner who's rich.
He's a rancher.
Yeah. And so John takes a delivery there, and he ends up asking the foreman there, Tom Dickens, for a job. Initially, Tom is not interested. Mr. Geddes doesn't have ranchers that have families. He usually has single ranchers, like things like that.
Yeah.
But while this conversation is going on, two gang members from some small-time gang show up and try to harass you and steal the supplies you brought. But then John goes and chases them down and gets the supplies back, but doesn't kill them. Mm-hmm. And after this, they're like, "Well, you did that. That's pretty cool. I guess you can have a job." You then go and learn John's various jobs of being a rancher, like milking a cow, shoveling shit in the stables, building a fence,
doing some horse stuff.
Yeah, some horse stuff. I thought that this was actually good. I remember in Red Dead 1, when there's a time where you're doing farming stuff in that, it felt like you actually had to do all of it, and it felt really long and arduous. This, instead, they cut cutscenes pretty fast.
You do some of the work, but then it fills it in with not doing it.
Yeah, then they cutscene it. But it's okay, you build the fence twice. And then you're like, cool. And then you get a cutscene and the fence is done. So it wasn't painful. I was really glad about that.
Probably learned from the past one.
No, yeah, because I remember in the first one I felt so annoyed by it. But this one, they do it like this, and I was like, this is nice. It's giving me what it wants to, of John trying to have a regular life, but it's also not annoying me by doing it. So, well done by Rockstar there. While they're kind of making their ranch life go, Abigail sees a ranch for sale in Beecher's Hope and thinks they should buy it. John's not sure because he's not a very good rancher.
He's been doing it for like a week.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not very good at this. Also, I can't get a loan from the bank. I'm an outlaw.
Yeah, my name is not real.
Yeah. Then later on, the gang members show back up, and there's a ranch hand they're like bullying and trying to, I think basically just harass. I don't know if they were even there to steal things, but just maybe intimidate.
Yeah, just to try to get him to sell.
Yeah, but you defend them and beat up the ranch hands. Abigail's mad that John's engaging in violence, doing outlaw shit. After this, John and Jack go to town to pick up some goods. On the way, there's a man that confronts John because John had killed his brother, a
while back.
A while back.
Post-gang
life. Yeah. But John kills them all. Jack is upset, though, because he hasn't been around outlaw stuff in that way. He's known his dad was an outlaw, but he hasn't seen him kill people before. So he's a bit rattled by this as well. Later on, John wakes up to the farm being attacked by these raiders, the gang members. And so John fights back. He leads Getty's men on an assault on that farm.
Yeah, you kill everyone there. Get the horses back. Or cattle, I forget which one.
Yeah, and basically win a ton of respect.
Yeah.
People kind of respected you before this, but it's oh.
You saved the ranch.
You saved the ranch. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're really there.
And Abigail's pissed about this.
Abigail is really pissed about this and kind of the sequence of the few things that have happened. There's a part where John gets a telegram from Sadie, and then does his normal farm work, but then he shows back at the house, finds out that Abigail and Jack have left him.
Which I was so annoyed by. Abigail's pissed the whole time about this, which is okay, you're pissed because John keeps doing this stuff, but this seems different. If you're going to let some guy get fucked up by these mean people, no, you couldn't do that. And also, his one job now is to work at this ranch and protect it, and then all their shit gets stolen. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it seems and John, I think, is he's doing some outlaw shit still, but he's doing it for good. I think it's probably, again, the original Robin Hood thing. Yeah. Except he's not even robbing people. I guess he's just defending.
Taking back what was theirs and protecting people.
Yeah, and just defending.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe even better than that.
They have a bad communication system because they just kind of yell at each other.
Yeah.
But which was kind of frustrating. But
yeah,
at least Abigail leaving.
Right. Leads to Abigail and Jack leaving. Yeah, it's too bad. And you also, before this, have seen a lot of John's frustration of I don't know how to do anything. Yeah, I've just always been an outlaw. I'm not good at things. I don't have skills.
Shooting and hurting people.
Yeah, except I'm good at killing people.
Yep.
And you don't want me to do that. So,
kind of childlike for sure.
Yeah. But after this, John finds out from that telegram Sadie's bounty hunting. John joins her on some bounty hunts, and they're pretty low key. It's you're arresting some criminals, but they're
legal though.
Yeah, it's legal. They're not dangerous.
Those especially accountants that stole money.
Yeah, things like that, and you're not killing them. So it's sort of it's using the skill he has probably in the least dangerous way he could, and getting legal money. Sadie also tells you that she's heard some rumors of Micah and Dutch, but nothing concrete. And you also find out that apparently in the time before this epilogue and after Arthur died, that John and Sadie and them had all met up, and they'd made kind of a promise or a pact. If we ever see Micah, we're going to kill him. That kind of thing. He's a rat, we got to kill him if we ever find him.
Yep.
Kind of thing. And Sadie kind of is you're still up for that, right? Sort of thing. And John's yeah, fuck Micah.
Yeah, essentially he's I'll do this without you. This is my thing.
Yeah. So you kind of get that update on what's gone on. After this, John goes to Mr. Getty's and asks for a loan to be able to buy Beecher's Hope. I think John's well...
I think he should ask for help. Or advice.
Yeah.
I think he actually asked for money. From him.
Does he ask him how to get a loan, maybe?
I think he mentions, because at this point they know, he's an outlaw.
Right.
Which they don't care about. They're you did right, so it's fine.
Right.
I think he asked him, I want to get this land, but I'm not sure how. I want to get a loan. Can you put a good word for me?
Yeah. And I think John's thought is, if I get my life together, then maybe Abigail will come back.
Yeah.
Is kind of my thought. And Getty says he can put a good word in at the bank because his cousin is the bank manager. So we'll be able to get that squared away. And, recognizing that you've done good to me. All that. You speak to the bank manager. He agrees, but you've got to clear some squatters out of the land. You do that. Also, in this process, you run into Uncle, who, finding out that there's something going on, wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, of course.
And he's like, "Oh, you've got a house?
He says he's got some lumbago.
Yeah.
It's like, I got some fatal disease lumbago or something.
Yeah.
Well, you don't.
I'm just using it as an excuse
not to do anything.
Not to do anything. Yeah. So, then finally, Beecher's Hope is your second epilogue.
Yeah.
One person said this was their favorite part of the game. And so Uncle tells you at the start of this chapter, after you've bought Beecher's Hope, that he heard Charles is around. And that he's in Saint Denis and that he's a boxer. So you go there to see him. There's like a fixed boxing match that you and Charles win some money on.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to lose, but then doesn't.
Because he bets on himself and wins.
Yeah, fucks the guy up.
Yeah. And he also, in this reunion, tells you Leopold Strauss got arrested by the Pinkertons and was tortured and died in custody, but he never gave any info up. So finding a little more about the gang. Mm-hmm. Charles comes back with you, so he joins you at the farm as well.
Now you got a solid crew of 3.
Yep.
Well, 2 and Uncle, I guess.
Yeah, 2 and Uncle is there. Okay, so then John joins Sadie on another bounty. They capture someone that she'd previously caught for a bounty, but then got it stolen by a different bounty hunter. Yeah. So you get that bounty back.
Yeah, it seems like the bounty hunter community is kind of crazy. Like, they steal from each other and kill each other a lot, and no one really cares. Yeah, it seems pretty wild. John, Charles, and Uncle end up tearing down the crumbling house that's at Beecher's Hope. Uncle had suggested buying a pre-cut home from the catalog, which I didn't know was a thing, but didn't either.
Interesting.
So it gives you all the wood and the blueprints. You just have to build it.
Right, and it seems like at least some of the pieces are cut properly.
Yeah.
Like it's...
yeah, it's like Lincoln Logs, kind of, but for a real house.
That's what I was imagining.
It's like a pretty nice house, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The house, once they make it, is sick. Mm-hmm. But before they can build the house, they also have to pick up some tools, which I think Charles knows a guy who's good with tools at Manzanita Post or whatever. So they go up there in these wagons.
And at this point, they hire 2 hired guns just to for extra caution, because there's this crazy gang / just crazy people that like to torture people
Skinner
around
brothers.
the area. Yeah, they're just around the area for some reason.
Yeah, they're like your Murphy boys, essentially, in this area.
And I think John and Charles are trying to keep a low profile, not murder people. So they're we'll hire these guys to keep them away.
Right. And this guy tries to talk to John about gunslinging.
He's like, it's tough, but people get scared of wagons with a big guy in the front. John's like, oh, do they? I would feel like people would want to steal the wagon even more if there's a big guy in the front with a gun. He's like, oh, that's not how it works. Trust me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, which that guy
really funny.
Was super wrong.
Yeah.
And after they pick up the tools, the Skinner brothers attack. They killed that hired gun that we're talking about and injured the other one. But ultimately, the tools and all the supplies do end up back at John's house. You get a pretty good montage of John, Charles, and Uncle's there building the house. And you see it, see the progress.
They have a lot of fun.
The end result, the house is pretty sweet. John also ends up buying a barn for livestock because he needs money, because Uncle tells him, and I think Uncle's right here, even though he's lazy, but I guess the ground isn't as good for crops.
Yeah.
So it needs to be a livestock, so you need a barn for that. So John then goes and buys a pre-cut barn. Same thing, but he needs money. So he ends up joining Sadie on a more dangerous bounty for an outlaw named Ramon Cortez. They end up having to fight his whole gang through here. It gets pretty dangerous, and at points he offers them way more money than the bounty's worth. Mm-hmm. But because they're principled now, they don't take it.
Yeah. Also, he's a snake, so he wouldn't actually give them money.
Yeah.
Probably just kill him. Try to kill him later.
I think that's true too. You then complete building the barn after this. John, Charles, and Uncle celebrate. They get hammered, have a funny cutscene of that.
Dance and just have a lot of fun.
Yep. The next morning, though, Uncle's missing, and they discover that the Skinner brothers had kidnapped him.
Mm-hmm.
So John and Charles go to rescue Uncle. Uncle's like tied above a fire, and his back's like burnt the fuck up.
Yeah, they're like, they torture people. It's like, it's bad. They're awful.
They're bad. You kill all the Skinner brothers, though.
Yep.
Save Uncle.
I thought he was going to die for sure at this point, which he doesn't, but I was pretty worried about that.
Yeah, he gets messed up.
This whole time I was like, all right, Charles and Uncle are going to die because they're not in the first game, so they can't be in this one.
Uncle
I was really worried about that. Oh, is he? I don't remember him.
He's still on the farm and annoying.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He just fucking lives there as a bum.
Yeah, he's a bum still. But I can see why you'd think that let's see. From here, after being away for a while, Abigail and Jack come and join at the ranch. John and Jack go fishing. Jack's dog Rufus gets bit by a snake.
I love Rufus.
Yeah, I do too, and I was going to be pissed if they killed the dog.
They killed the dog, yeah.
Yeah, like, chill out, Rockstar.
Yeah, come on, you killed Arthur, that's enough.
Yeah, right. Also, John and Abigail go to town. They have like a really nice, date / what's to come. But they get their portrait done. They go see a movie. John ends up asking Abigail to marry him. Like, it's pretty nice. Yeah, it's pretty nice. She says yes. It's great. However, after this newfound engagement, they return to the farm, and Sadie shows up for the first time. And she says that she's got a lead on Micah. John, of course, is, I'm in. And Abigail's like, no.
Yeah, she's like pleading, don't go.
Don't go. But John has to go. Mm-hmm. So John and Charles join Sadie. They end up finding Cleet, who was a hired gun that Micah had with you and the gang, like, broke. You get info as to where Micah's hiding out. It's at, like, a nearby mountain hideout. You go and attack it. On the way to attacking it, Sadie and Charles both get injured. Like, a sniper nicks Charles at one point.
Yeah, like the leg or something.
Yeah, Sadie gets stabbed in the stomach.
Yeah, like I thought they were both dead for sure.
Yeah, I was...
Especially Sadie.
Yeah, I was pretty concerned. But John continues on alone. He ends up with a standoff with Micah. And then there's a part in this standoff where Sadie shows up next to Micah because she's like gonna blow his brains out. Mm-hmm. But then Dutch shows up. He walks out of the cabin.
Nowhere. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and this distraction allows Micah to like disarm Sadie and has her kind of as a human shield / hostage. And you know, Micah's like, Dutch, shoot John, and John's like, Dutch, shoot Micah.
Yeah.
They're both kind of pleading their case. Dutch ends up shooting Micah. And then you go like full Red Dead mode, and shoot Micah in the face like 100 times.
Yeah, shot as many times as I could.
Yeah, he didn't have a face when I was done, it seemed like. And then Dutch just kind of walks away.
Yeah, no word said.
Yeah, and leaves. Sadie and John, though, find a chest full of gold.
I think it's all the gold from the Blackwater job.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think existed.
Yeah, it seemed like it would be fake almost. But
yep, there's a lot of gold there.
But it was real. And they take it, and they head off. You get back to the ranch. John, Sadie, and Charles are all there. The wedding happens. Through the cutscenes, you see Charles and Sadie both leave the ranch after a while. Game over.
Yep.
Something I wanted to comment about on this is, for the ending real quick since we're at it, is I didn't like that Dutch was there. And even like the hesitation or his involvement, I wish Dutch just didn't even show up.
Yeah.
I think that it... Like, I don't know. I would have probably just killed Dutch too. I mean, I know that he's in the second game, so you can't. Or, you know, OG Red Dead. But, like...
Yeah.
I feel like after everything that's happened, if I were John, I would have killed them both.
Yeah, because he left you. He didn't want to save Abigail. He left you twice, technically. One time to die. Well, both to die.
Yeah. So I just don't like that he was there. Like, okay, sure, Dutch makes the right choice at the end, which I guess fits a little more with your ending than mine for Arthur.
Yeah.
Like mine, he just walked away and let Micah kill me.
Yeah.
And so, like, Dutch doing this, like, sure, he's maybe, like, guilty about it or something, but, like, I just wish Dutch wasn't even here. And also, I don't like that Sadie is, like, super competent before this, and then when they need her for a hostage situation, Micah just is able to, like, dupe her real quick.
To be fair, she was stabbed in the gut.
Yeah, she's hurt, but I just don't know that she'd put herself in that
vulnerable. Would have just shot Micah. To be real, she wouldn't have waited. She would have just shot him.
Yeah, or she would have been stepped further away with the gun pointed. Like, if she's hurt, she'd be like, okay, well, I don't want to get rushed, so I'll be able, like.
Yeah.
So
fair.
I didn't like the way that ending was contrived. I'm glad Micah's dead. That's the important thing. I also like that it dead-eyed, and I got to shoot him in the face a bunch.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the setup of that.
Yeah, it kind of makes to the first game like John ends up. Wow. I won't say it.
I guess we won't spoil game one.
Yeah, it kind of
Since it's sequentially after, I guess, kind of.
It just kind of makes some stuff that happens in game one a little more confusing too, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it would have been better if just John never saw Dutch again until game one.
Yep.
So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because it didn't really add anything.
Yeah, I don't think him being there.
All it did was make John and Sadie not get killed by Micah.
Yeah.
Which could have been done differently.
It seems like the only thing that, like, they gave the tension for it, but, like, the only thing that it could maybe give that's helpful is that Dutch finally came around on that Micah was bad, and he was there to kill him. You just happened to start it first. Like,
yeah.
Like, he had that as plans as well.
Maybe, but I don't see why he wouldn't have just killed him in the first place.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
It just seems, it's almost like we got to throw Dutch in there.
Yeah.
So we know where he is. It's just like, unnecessary.
Yeah. So that's like my one, like, con with that ending part. I mean, ultimately, I'm glad Micah's dead. I'm glad we got to do it. When there was an epilogue, I was like, all right, we need to kill Micah in this. Like,
yep. No, if there's a choice, it's to kill him.
Yeah, for sure. But, okay. Let's move on to general thoughts, though.
Yeah, fair.
I just wanted to make that comment from there. Let's see. One thing I've got, we've talked about a lot of the things I think about this game so far, but one thing I think would be really cool is if they make a Red Dead 3 with Sadie. I would be very interested in that.
I heard there is probably one in the works.
Okay.
But there's little details about it. It's mostly rumors, but I'm sure they'll make one. But I kind of wonder I don't know if they could do Sadie. Because at that point, it'd be so... The West is gone at this point.
The one thing I think she says somewhere with
California.
John is I think she wants to go to South America. Because I think she was talking about that you could, like, be a guard down there or something.
A gold mine.
Yeah, and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
If there is a way. You are right, though, because... Otherwise, they probably have to go in the past. Because you can't go future, like you said. The West is over. Like,
yeah, I think I'd prefer if they went farther back and just did something totally new.
Yeah,
personally.
No, that would be cool
with
too.
New characters, because then you could make even more games. Because eventually, you're going to run out of. Like, you do a game with Sadie, and more in the future, like, you don't have that much. That's probably the last one.
That's true. I feel like if you do a Sadie one, I don't think there'd be any more people to connect. Like the Vanderlin Gang. You're done with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, someone separate, because I haven't played Red Dead Revolver.
It's unrelated completely.
But it's in the series, so I guess that shows you can go out of series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be the same people. It just could be.
I guess it wouldn't be a Red Dead Redemption, maybe.
No,
maybe Redemption.
Red Dead something.
Because I guess if you did a 3, you could do Sadie. But if you did another Red Dead, another word that starts with R, probably.
Yeah, but I feel like Sadie doesn't need redemption at this point. Like, the first and second one, like, John gets redeemed, I guess. That's the theme of the first one.
And
Arthur's
Arthur here.
Yeah, it's like, Sadie's...
That's true.
I don't know how you'd redeem her. She's done some fucking crazy shit, but...
But her stuff is largely...
That's tied up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I could see it if some of the Driscoll people survived. I could see that being a thing, but...
Yeah, I guess...
dead.
Yeah, I guess her mission, her thing would be more her, like, making a new life, but I don't know if that's the same as Arthur or John's journeys. So
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah, but I would like to play a third one for sure.
Yeah. I guess I would want more of this series, and I like Sadie a lot, so she's sort of my natural choice for that.
Yeah,
But-
that's fair. Sort of general things we've already kind of talked about. I think Arthur is maybe my favorite character from any game. I think he tops Joel, which is kind of crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, I just felt like when he died, I was almost mourning him. I was like, dude, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about it for like since I finished, whenever that was, a week, 2 weeks ago. About 2 weeks ago. It's like, man, Arthur's dead. That sucks. Like, I've wanted to, like, I tried to play online, and it was really fun, but it just was like, Arthur's not here. It sucks. It's just not the same.
Right.
So he was I just loved him and the progression.
Yeah. He's a great character. I'm guessing he did for you too, but he reminded me a lot of Joel.
He
that
did,
was like
yeah.
what I thought right when I met him.
Yeah, kind of gets softer as things go on. Starts to be more objectively good.
Yeah.
Kind of like Joel.
Yeah.
Starts out like a smuggler that's really rough, and then ends up being...
My Arthur also ended up looking a lot like Joel. I let his like beard and hair grow out.
I kept mine nice and trimmed.
Yeah, his hair and beard got all wild for me.
Well, just like you.
Yeah, just like me in real life, so
Yeah.
it's fit. But
When I played online, I looked up like how to make Arthur in like the creation.
Nice.
I made a pretty similar character. It's just not the same though.
Right, no, that's true. I was really bummed when he died too.
Yeah, so I think I'll probably play online at some point, but I need to give some time between now and then.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Also playing this really set on a Western interest for me in general. So I watched Young Guns 1 and 2 after playing this. Those movies are great. Also, last podcast on the left did a Billy the Kid series of episodes. They did 4 episodes. So I think it's 6 hours of Billy the Kid info.
Oh, wow.
But it's super fun. It was really enjoyable to listen to. But I like that Red Dead really brought this.
Yeah,
I
it
mentioned in the beginning of liking this a lot in my childhood. I think it kind of re-sparked some of that. And I was like, ooh, I want to watch some Western movies, or I want to learn more about this. So it just kind of lined up pretty well and was really fun. And I think enriched all of these things.
You ever seen that movie with Daniel Craig with the aliens in the Western?
Cowboys vs. Aliens. I haven't seen it, but
it's actually pretty good.
Is it?
You should see it. I mean, it's a good movie for what it is.
Sure.
It does what it wants to do really well.
Oh, that works.
And Daniel Craig plays like a fucking dope cowboy, which is really good at killing people. Then he fights aliens. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch. You should watch that.
I should.
Don't have expectations this is a really good movie, but it's really good, fun action movie. I
feel like it tells you what it is by being called Cowboys vs. Aliens. You're
yeah.
Well, if you want this, then you'll probably like it.
Yeah, there's a scene where I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's essentially the whole gang is on horseback and they ride out to fight the aliens. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Yeah, I might have to. That
great.
sounds fun.
Yeah. Another thought I have is there's so many small details in this game. We kind of mentioned just roaming through the story or the land. You can find KKK members you should murder, and just other random people caught in bear traps and save people from wild animals. There's a part and so you can go to the theater with Mary if you're Arthur. And there's a part where you can put your arm around her if you look at her, and then there's a part you can do that with Abigail too. So there's small things like that. They just added so many small little details that
that's cool.
I probably didn't pick up on most of them because I didn't do everything, but it just adds a layer to every interaction. I think that was really well done.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. This is a great game.
Yeah.
My last thing I had is if you want more Red Dead 2 after listening to this, the pre-order bonus. Do you want to continue? Both of those podcasts are great, and they have episodes on this. I know I'm going to be listening to them now that we've recorded ours.
Yeah.
Because I never listen to people's stuff beforehand because I don't want to steal their thoughts, but I do want to hear them now. And so if you want more, those are 2 suggestions I have.
Yeah. One final thing, we've already talked about this, but how they progressed the story was really well. I feel like the story progressed with the characters, and Arthur getting more seeing things more clearly was really well done. Dutch going kind of crazy was well done. I think the way they set up Red Dead 1 was really well done, aside from maybe Dutch being in the end, but everything else perfectly done. I can't imagine it being differently at this point.
Oh, me either.
Yeah.
If they had a remastered of Red Dead 1, I would have started playing it right after.
We had talked about that. I would object. I'd spend $70 on it right now on a PS5.
Oh, yeah.
I'd pay for it, play it, no matter how much time it took.
Oh, yeah, I would too. I wish that my copy wasn't on PS3 and that my PS3 is fucked up. Because I remember too, actually, when we played Red Dead 1 last year, I remember liking it, but I remember my main complaint was this game is 10 years old, and it feels that way. And so some of the things were a little bit annoying. Mm-hmm. This obviously didn't have any of those problems.
Yep. Yeah.
But I would totally play that. If it was remastered, I would have played it right afterwards. I'd be like, all right, I have other games I'm going to play for the podcast, but I'm also going to play this because I want to continue this journey. I want to be with these characters. So I hope it gets remastered someday because I would play it for sure.
Yep, I would definitely play it.
Yeah. Cool. Finally, a couple little bits of listener feedback to wrap us up. First, we got Laura on Twitter said, one of my favorite games ever, as a story and characters were super well developed and they feel real. The open world totally feels alive. I wish there were more games with this quality and heart.
Yep.
Yeah, well said. Yep. I feel like that we've just expressed that for a while.
Like 2 hours.
Yeah.
However long.
Yeah. But I totally agree. I think this game is great. I think talking about it, like, before this, I was less sure it was in my top 10, but I might have to kick Spider-Man out or something. Like,
that's really good.
It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
It's pretty special. I'm interested to see how I feel like continually down the line and just as I think back on it, because this game's great.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Nikki on Twitter said, absolutely stunning game. The environment, the soundtrack, the characters, everything was just so good about it. The huge open world that I can explore, just wow. Yep, another well said comment.
Yeah.
In my opinion, great.
Oh yeah, right on. Casual Opinions on Twitter said, I enjoyed it, but honestly, I never finished it. To me, it was almost too big. I think it kind of overwhelmed me. I'm sure I'll get around to it someday.
Yeah, it's big.
I could see that. I think that this is a game, like we've talked about, with being so big. I think if I didn't have a deadline to cause me to finish it, like, I'm going to finish this because I have intentions, I could see getting lost along the way and stopping. I mean, as I said at the beginning, I started 6 months ago and only played a little bit, and then I stopped because other games came up, and I was like, I'm not going to finish this in time. And so then once we kicked into gear later, it was like, all right, I'm fully dedicated to this to make sure I finish it. But I think it would be easy to lose along the way.
I agree. And I think that if you feel like this, I would just say just stick to the main story and you'll get hooked on it. Yeah. So I think it's easy to get lost in all the details of like side quests and like character creation, like picking outfits, like buying food, camp stuff, all that stuff, all the peripheral things, which you can kind of progress as the story goes by itself. So I would say just stick to the main story and you'll probably be able to finish it. It might take a while, but you can finish it. Yeah,
well, and I guess if you wanted to get into those things down the way, you could.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, like, I don't feel like I missed out at all by only fishing once. Personally,
I did not like fishing. It was boring.
Yeah, I was like, it's fine. Like, I think the mechanic or whatever could be cool, but I just don't want to do that.
Yeah, not my thing.
Yeah, I think if there were things I was doing that I didn't, it'd be like side quest, or maybe just killing randos and taking things.
Yeah,
like,
I'd rather do that than
I
fish.
think that would be more likely that I'd do than, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Charles on Twitter said, yes, so disappointed in this game. It was not like one at all. Too much riding a horse. Sorry, man. I just can't agree with that. I mean, there was a lot of horse riding, which is fair. Especially early on. It was kind of annoying.
I think early on, riding a lot of horse was rough. To me, it felt very similar to one, but I'm wondering if there are things I'm not picturing that were part of one. You know, like, I don't know. But to me, this felt similar, just a new version. Yeah. Like a new looking one that's even bigger.
Yeah.
But that's too bad you didn't like it, though.
Yeah, that sucks. It's hard for me to see how it could be disappointing.
All right, this is actually something that did come in, that I came in with, is this game was so talked about of being like the best game ever.
Yeah.
And so if your expectation is this is the best game you're ever going to play before you play it, well, it might be, but those are really fucking hard expectations.
That's like either you make that or you don't.
Right.
Like, there's no middle ground there.
Right, because what if it was like, okay, I'm expecting the best game ever, and it was like my top 10 or a top 25. Well, that's a really fucking good game still, but you might be like, well, it wasn't that. So I could see that. That was something I was a little worried about heading into, of that there had so much acclaim outside of me. You know, just that the world seemed to really like it, and I'm like, I hope that I don't play this and just am like,
this sucked.
yeah, or like it was okay. So yeah, I don't know what their experience was specifically there, but
yeah. I guess, Charles, if you're listening, just send us more info. I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more for sure. Dave on Twitter said, fantastic game, although I think we should have playing as Sadie or Charles in the epilogue. I could see that, because we do know where John ends up, so if they didn't want us to play that, I think that's why they should add the remastered. If they had the remastered and we played as John, I would have kept playing as him.
Yeah.
But if you just found out what happened to John but played as Sadie or Charles, I would have been into that too.
Yeah, I guess either way. I do like... You got a lot of Sadie and Charles at the end, which was really cool. But then I feel like you'd be missing the direct connection between 1 and 2 if you didn't play as John at the end. Yeah. Even just hearing about how John turned out, it wouldn't... Or maybe if you... well...
I guess maybe... I wonder if you could have like had a mission or two as them. Like if it went kind of like GTA 5, you have 3 characters you can play as. If it like switched like that, that like if you really wanted to,
3 epilogues. That'd be... I would have played 3 epilogues for sure.
If they got shorter,
a little bit shorter, and then same length, but just spread it out into 3. So like you play as John, you get your ranch set up, you do that shit. You could have skipped some of the stuff in between. Like you could have skipped the Getty's ranch.
I feel like him trying to like do right though was important to see. I
guess you could have heard about it. Or like seen one example of it as opposed to a few hours of it. And then some... I'm not saying that's what they should have done, but it could have been an option.
Yeah. I think they could have made it work.
Yeah, but... and then just Sadie and Charles doing connected things. Like you see Sadie talking about bounty hunting, you go out as her doing something. Then Charles maybe doing the fight thing before John shows up. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Could have done that.
Yeah, that would have been cool
to
see that. But I like that we got them.
Yeah, same. And then last up, Simon on Twitter said, masterful example of world building in terms of literally building it so beautifully and populating it with deep and interesting characters. Incredible all around, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like every character you came across was interesting, except the random townsfolk number 4, you know, like...
Right.
Even some of them gave you side quests, which was kind of cool. I never did them, but there's a lot of uniqueness to each character.
I agree. Yeah, they brought a lot. This is a special game.
Oh yeah.
But that's it. We've done it. Red Dead 2. That is Red Dead 2. If you want to talk more about Red Dead 2, hit us up on Twitter at StoryEverPod. On our website, TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com, that has a backlog of all of our episodes, including Red Dead 1. We've also done other like bigger games like this, like Ghost of Tsushima or other RPGs. So if you want that, that's also around. Also, we're wherever you get podcast, Apple Podcast, wherever. That's all there. If you'd like to financially support the podcast, you can do that on Patreon at patreon.com/TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed. There, for as little as $1 per month, that will give you access to bonus episodes we do that are usually topical in nature. So, talking about like our favorite characters or ranking the Life is Strange games, things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if that interests you, check that out. If you'd want to support the podcast but can't financially, that's totally cool and would still be appreciated. If you want to tell a friend about this or rate it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, that'd be super helpful. Yeah, and that's our episode, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.